Give him the highest praise. Hallelujah. Give me the highest praise. In the morning when I wake up, in the night when I wake up, I will lift up my voice to heaven and give you the highest praise. Hallelujah to my King. Hallelujah to my Father. Hallelujah to my Jesus. I bow before the throne. When I look at all the wonder and I see all the creation, the beauty of the universe, you never change. You never lie. You never change. You never change. Hallelujah to my Jesus. Hallelujah. 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 Give him, hallelujah. Give him the highest praise. Hallelujah. Give him the highest praise. Hallelujah. Give him the highest praise.
Come let's pray, Jehovah. Come let's worship Jehovah. He deserves the praise. Come let's praise Him. He deserves everything. Oh, the worshiping. Oh, He gave me life. I will praise His name. I'm here to praise my God. Oh.
Good evening, folks. Welcome to this Saturday evening broadcast. I'm Afonso Zayanso of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you for joining us here this evening. As usual, we're always here to bring you news, information, and entertainment. I'm Afonso Zayanso of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV this beautiful Saturday evening.
Hallelujah. Give him the highest praise. Hallelujah. Give him the highest praise. Hallelujah. Give him the highest praise. Ooh, hallelujah. Oh, yeah. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah to my Jesus.
Well, this is it's always our opening song. This is by Liberian gospel artist and Joseph Bears in the West African state of the Republic of Liberia. Let's come with something here. She will be my guest, one of my guests tomorrow. Let's see here.
Anche a Biblia, dola aja mwa sala wala ula ajbe o aju ba oblia ula ajbe na da mo pebe ajbe ble fo ble jbe we mo fo bloa na dola wa sabola ajbe abejbe asachi e dia ni agba abayiwe buenbe no degi tayo des wanti e a enu awon na abinyo wa ablo ala wo ye gbe na abejbe en kondola ajuno na ma atusunde yo wo ye nyamu en konti
Ajbeyo Sianle Ajbeyo
Eric Cyrus, the magic figures.
Ajbeyo, Adieguyo, Toyo Ajbeyo, Toya Niemuo. Ajbeyo, Adieguyo.
This is Minister Bibi Wright Boateng. She's going to be one of my guests tomorrow. This one said, let us be friendly. Let us love one another. Is in her own dollar. That's in the Crown Dollar. All right, let's listen to it a little bit. That's Bibi Wright right here making a contribution at this event. She will be joining me live from the West African state of Ghana. She's going to be right here with me tomorrow. That's a Sunday. Let us love. Let us learn to love one another, right? That's Minister Bibi Wright right there in her new piece. Let's love, no hatred. Let us be one family. All right. This is how we want to do it here. That's just a little piece. She's going to be my guest tomorrow. Time Alfonso Z and so of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. Today is Saturday. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you for sharing your beautiful Saturday evening with us, whether it is in the morning or in the afternoon, it's in the evening, depending on your location. Mother Servant will say good evening. You're right here with us in the USA. In fact, she's the house that considered as a mother of LPR. Make her place available for us in Liberia. So we want to welcome Brother Duffer Sky as well. We say thank you so much for joining us here. A lot is unfolding in the West African state of the Republic of Liberia. I'm going to be joined by the Liberal Progressive and LPR senior contributor to analyst, if you will, Mr. Amos George. Going to be right here this evening. And as usual, you, our listening audience, there's no way we can leave you out of this talking point. Ahead of the 2020 senatorial elections in Liberia, a lot is unfolding. Some predictions were made in the past by senior government officials, including lawmakers, even though at the end of the day, they were able to flip the coins around. So who do we believe in this sort of consequential time? Well, the conversation is all of us, and we're going to have it in a very honest fashion. Well, we are getting the report later this evening. There's a press release in circulations. We try to verify, to authenticate that with government sources, but I was told by a top insider government that is the case. Well, the government of Liberia now is saying any actions by the stay home action by healthcare workers, they will be terminated. Who is advising who, and how are we getting to this point? If you are to terminate over 9,000 employers or employees of within the health industry, how can these people, then who can you hire again? Well, we want to say it, these are issues we want to discuss. And guess what? Tomorrow I'm going to be having a very young person. And you know, the races in Liberia, it is only one county out of the 15 senatorial races, only one person is not seeking to re-election. I will be hosting here come Monday in a LPR TV special, Senator Tefonso Gale, wait and hear what he's telling the Liberia Public Radio. So this year, we're going to be looking at A here, but listen to this guy. He's a lawmaker, very high-profile person and high, serious actor in the Liberian conflict. But he's not. He's part of the guys who is on Capitol Hill making laws and interpreting the law. I am Alfonso Zienso. Stay tuned. Okay, well, he's been considered as the political godfather of Nimba County, the deal breaker. He claimed politicians are unpredictable, but I can also say he is unpredictable as well. So, who is he? Can we trust these guys on Capitol Hill? This is the building that you see right behind me here, where all the Hulubala is ongoing in the country. And in the next couple of months, a few weeks from now, it's all going to be at stake. But he put himself on record. He made a prediction, and politicians and ordinary Liberians are capitalizing on that now, which is awful. So it's a legitimate argument. Let's listen to the senior senator or the senator of Nimba County, Senator Prince Yomi Johnson. Even though he says some things, but what happens at the end of the day, he's somersaulted and give his support. Let's listen to this.
You have been very strong speaking out against Mr. George Weah. Why do you think he would be the wrong person to rule this country?
He was the world best, European best, Africa best, all the best, right? He made so much money. We are told $93 million. I stand to be corrected in this amount. But he made so much money, to the extent that the United Nations looked at him and made him what? United Nations ambassador for UNICEF, to donate his money to suffering children around the world. How many children in Liberia did he prioritize? Nothing. There's no George Weah Foundation, there's no sports academy, there's no recreation center, there's no public library for public school students. There is absolutely nothing. Money is gone. You want to be president to set over our resources. The same way you mismanage yours, you will mismanage ours. That's what I think. We fear rigging. We fear rigging. If there's a rig election, we fear national civil response by the people of this country.
You fear that she might use her power not to rig for maybe the Unity Party, but for her new favorite candidate now?
She's a politician, is a very tricky person. A politician is unpredictable. So she might, because her son is in CDC. She might, and then Senator Gbazong Afili, that she has been supporting all along and interacting with, is also in CDC. McIntosh is in CDC. A lot of prominent people from the executive mansion, they are in CDC. So she might be carrying out a diversionary tactics while at the same time be aiming at somebody no one is thinking of. Nobody knows. Because her second cousin is Bronsky. Bronsky's mother, Ellen's mother, were first cousin. So Ellen and Bronsky are second cousin. Okay? So her son is in CDC. All of these people with Ellen are in CDC. So people might say, oh, you know, because her son is in CDC, she might rig in favor. No. She might possibly rig in favor of somebody I've been hearing about, perhaps Ellis Cummings. The stranger in the political terrain. But it's possible.
Everybody in Liberia is, of course, praying for peaceful elections. But if there are signs of the kind of rigging that you just mentioned, what is the way forward then?
We want peace. We need peace. We deserve peace. But because we need peace, we deserve peace, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who also signed onto that document, should live by the peace, by being neutral in our election. The only say I believe she can have is to put a one vote, in one vote, but not to interfere. Nobody want to run away. I have established foundation. I have big schools, and we graduate students every year. They pass wire. We don't want any trouble here, but we cannot spend our millions for election and you go and rig.
So if that happens?
If that happens, there will be a national civil response. A national civil response.
What method?
As a national civil response. They will use the constitution because their peace and their future will be in danger. So they will respond.
Well,
to say
exactly
no to
does it
regulation.
mean? What does it exactly mean, this response?
A national civil response, it could be the movement of the people to say no to regulation through a peaceful demonstration, through a stay-at-home demonstration.
Hello my fellow, let us look on the reasons why Tanzania's John Magufuli is Africa's most beloved president. John Magufuli, the current president of Tanzania, is completely restructuring his home country and we're loving it. In a continent where politicians say the opposite of what they mean to do, Magufuli is an outlier. Here are the 8 reasons why we admire this man. 1. He came from humble beginnings. Magufuli is a former school teacher, industrial chemist and ex-minister of works. He is the son of a peasant farmer. 2. He's shown integrity. As the Minister of Works, he was reputed to be a no-nonsense, results-driven politician. It was while in office that he got nicknamed the bulldozer for steering the program to build good roads in Tanzania. He had opportunities to make riches while he held this position, but chose not to. 3. He campaigned for the presidency on a platform of hard work. Hard work from his previous position as a minister. He also did push-ups to show that he was fit and ready for office. 4. He's been keeping his promises. Since being sworn in as Tanzania's president on November 5, John Magufuli has been cracking down on corruption and wasteful spending. This has led to him losing a lot of friends. But he doesn't let that stop him from doing the good work. 5. He's been leading by example. Rather than doing the disappearing act, or practicing do as I say not as I do, he's been acting out what he preaches. Let's give you some examples. For Tanzania's Independence Day in 2015, rather than spend money on celebrations that would promptly have been forgotten the next day, he ordered a cleanup exercise. And he didn't just order it, he joined in. This caused thousands of Tanzanians to come out and join as well, because if their president could do it, who are they not to? When going to officially open Parliament, Magufuli didn't go by plane, he drove all the way. He has reduced the size of the presidential convoy, as well as the size of presidential delegation that travels with him. What a guy. 6. He's been channeling Tanzania's monetary sources to more important ventures. Not long after assuming office, he took drastic measures to boost government coffers, which includes A. He put a stop to the public procurement of goods and services at inflated costs. He declared that anyone found procuring public goods or services on inflated prices will face the music. B. Immediate ban on foreign travels by public servants. He did this on his 3rd day in office. He stated that all tasks that necessitated government officials to travel abroad will now be done by the country's high commissioners and ambassadors abroad. C. He called on all public institutions to cut expenditure on refreshments during meetings. McGufuli decried unnecessary heavy refreshments being offered at meetings and directed that lunch be served in very rare and exceptional circumstances, where a meeting that starts in the morning is expected to continue into the evening. D. He issued a directive for unnecessary physical meetings to be stopped and for public servants to conduct conference calls instead. This is to cut unnecessary costs that the government incurred from meetings and conferences held at various venues. 7. He made education free for children whose parents couldn't afford it, a promise he made during his election campaign. He also directed relevant authorities to sort and resolve the problem stopping the release of education loans. 8. He keeps federal workers on their toes, so they don't mess up. He went to the federal hospital unannounced and made sure to visit all the wards, including those kept from high-profile visitors like himself. After discovering the sorry state, he fired the director, the hospital board, and ordered that the equipment that weren't working to be repaired within 2 weeks, otherwise he would fire even the newly appointed director. The repair happened in 3 days. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to
Good evening, folks. Good evening. Good evening. I want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you for joining us here. As usual, we're here to bring you news, informations, and entertainment. More informative, authentic, and in the civilized context of which you yourself are also part of it. You will meet a national savers response. Let me bring in the liberal progressive from California, Samson Branto. There you see him said. Mr. To, are you mad this evening?
I'm happy. I'm okay. It's just that I when I watch these kinds of video, I'm trying to reflect how best this type of behavior can be transported, if there's a such word, back home. But then again, if you, and then I'm just going to dive right into it. This government started. People, and I'm one of those, believe that the government was going to do much more to combat corruption. But if you see the first appointees of the government, is Emmanuel Shah, who has a huge record in terms of how to make money. And then you have that, and then you say with yourself, if you have a very serious person, that I think if this is how this government intend to play, then we're going nowhere. And that's exactly the kinds of problem we're having right now, Mr. So.
Okay, we are not roller skating. We are not running anywhere. I don't think the fire is getting closer to you. We sympathize with what ongoing in California, but believe me or not, the liberal progressive and everybody going to be safe. We're going to have some high-call conversation discussion here. And hopefully your pressure, your cholesterol, whatever, it doesn't go up, because I know you very well. So we're going to have a lot of conversation here. Interestingly, the certifications of those that are contesting, we're going to touch on a wide range of issues. The task ahead of the 2020 senatorial races in the 15 political subdivisions, certifications is ongoing, and the rest of that. It started. You seem to be a happy man. The guy that you support, Bill Wolanyano, has been certificated. So we can now say that he is a candidate.
Mr. So, I just want to show you how happy I am that the reality some of us continue to fight for is coming to fruition, and we're very happy about that. Mr. Nyanu has been certificated, as you correctly stated, and the campaign has started, and we will be very honest with our people. We're not going to take a frog to beauty pageant, as you know. We're going to make sure that we bring people out, those who's going to challenge Mr. Nyanu. We're going to examine everybody's record. We will be truthful, we will be sincere, and we will be respectful. We're not going to degrade, because this thing is not about individual. It's about policy that will benefit the entire Grangians. It is about policy that will benefit people in Grangida County, thereby benefiting Liberia as a whole. And so we will examine people's record. And we're not fighting. This is not about war. We're not going to degrade, because after the election is over, we're going to go back into our own respective area as Grangians, and we're going to have a conversation among ourselves. And we're all brothers and sisters. We're not here to fight, but we'll be truthful.
Okay, we've also been joined by senior contributor to the Liberia Public Radio, Mr. Amos Joy from ATL. Is it ATLA or TATA? How do you call that? What's the acronym?
It's ATL.
ATL. That's Atlanta, Georgia, correct?
The biggest city of the South.
There you go. Don't get yourself into the liberal here this evening. Okay,
the biggest city of the South. The biggest city of the South. The South. Okay.
Yeah, South.
I got that.
Okay, Pa George, thank you for joining us, for helping us out here. We're going to be discussing a wide range of issues here ahead of the senatorial races in Liberia. The trucking certifications is ongoing. I invited your guy for no reason. It was no call, no show. Monepaka Des Moines. He is a CPP guy, but my understanding, he confirmed with us that he's going as an independent. So this sort of a change overnight and from one column to another column, that's his usual. We want to talk about it. But we heard, we're yet to verify this from government sources, all effort to reach out with the Ministry of Information Authority. But there was an extensive meeting been ongoing for a couple of days. Today it went into force, and there's a press release in circulation. Fair to mention, I tried to verify that on the official website of the executive mansion. It is not yet posted, but a senior government official has confirmed with us this is what is happening. So what is unfolding now, about 9,000 health workers could possibly face a termination if they failed to return to work. So that's a huge one. So how come we got to this point here? Who was giving the advice to the president? Should us go with the labor first, or you want to go first?
Let's go ahead with the labor.
The Liberal Progressive.
Yes, I read that story.
We're going to base on what we received so far. I'll try to reach out to Minister Fagon to verify it, but we have been told the signatures here, it carries the Minister of Information. As usual, the memorandum, they can go out here. This is huge.
Yes, it is. And I'm coming to this discussion from two perspectives. One is for the president, he has the right to fire anybody who he wants to fire, a person who is not doing the job. In this case, the strikers, the nursing and the medical health workers striker, the president have the right to say, you guys come back to work, and if you don't come back to work for a certain time, I'm going to dismiss you. And that's the president. Of course, it's not about Liberia. Back in the 80s, Ronald Reagan fired the air traffic controller that were on strike for so many days. He said, you guys don't come back here in certain time, you're gone. They didn't come, he fired them. So the president, if he say you guys come back to work, they don't come to work, he can fire them, he can do that. However, Mr. So, the strikers, their demand is about money. And the government is saying they do not have the money, the amount of money that is the strikers. They do not have the money to give. How in the world that you're going to say you don't have money to give when you have your representative who wants to be senator doling out money in the street of Monrovia, where these people, most of these people are working that cannot afford, but yet still you have an individual who is wanting to be a senator from Mozzarella County, who is going out in the street and doling out money, giving money. Can he not, if he's that much rich, can he not take some of that money government, subsidize the government so that the government can pay these people whatever they're talking about. But instead, they said they don't have money, and so if people don't come back to work, the government can do that. But you cannot say that you don't have money and you have people who are connected with the government distributing money in the street of Monrovia, and you expect people to be quiet? No, you're going to fire them. That's fine. You have the right. It's your constitutional mandate. You can do that. But then what does that give you in terms of a vote and security in the country? It's bad.
Okay, Pa George.
But the liberals...
It's quite interesting here. The liberal, he usually calls Rodney Sear a double soy guy here, but I think triple soy guy here this evening here. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, you want to go ahead? Yeah.
Yeah, it's the thing. I followed the striking worker yesterday. They had a press conference, a meeting with the Minister of Finance and that of the Labor Ministry. The government, I think this year, promised the people when they strike, I think this year, earlier this year, they went to a bargaining, they negotiated on the terms and conditions. According to the people, the nurses, the minister and the government had not lived up to that commitment. All what they proposed in the MOU, the government had not met up with one. That project had to go back into the striking position. Now, as the labor stated, the president has the right to fire everybody as he wants to. But remember, these are health workers. 9,000 health workers. At the memorandum, I think they said that if they don't go by, they're going to replace them. Who do you have to replace these people with? How many students at Cotton University College? How many students do you have at the University of Liberia, nursing students, that you want to immediately replace 9,000 workers immediately if they fail to report? Now, government, according to the report, government owed people what? In the tune of $15 million with other emergency hazard pay. Now, the government had not met one obligation. Now you come up to say because the people are striking, and it is their right. They have work. They work for it, so you're supposed to pay them. Now because they are striking, and you say now, oh, you're going to use the power, as somebody said, dictator power now to fire these people. It is absolutely wrong. The country is going in the wrong direction. The president must pay the people. They have lied to these people over and over. Yesterday in the conference, the Minister of Finance was there and the woman spoke and said, you, Mr. Minister, we were here. We did agree on all these terms. You people have not done one thing. Then you come back to her and say, woman, go. No. If you have the document already in your possession, so just lay up to your side of the bargaining. But now, but yeah, interestingly, you know what the minister did? According to the people, he called certain group of nursing organization and told them and said, you know what happened? Those people were already taken to the National Health Association. We gave them $11,000 already. So we're not talking to you people. We wanted to find out yesterday when the woman was speaking in front of the Minister of Finance, I said, Mr. Minister, you lied. You did not give us $11,000. You did not give us one cent met with us. So why you call the group on the side to say that you people gave us money already, so you need their side to honor the bargain? So what the government have been trying to do is to rule and divide. It's Mr. Samuel Tuer. But we need to find out a backfire yesterday that all the organizations are now together. That hey, we did not receive money from the Ministry of Finance. So what is he saying? In fact, they said they took nursing students and carried them in the hospital to replace them. Now you talk about people's lives. So you just want a grad student, 1 year, 2 year student to go place them on the ward to work? Are they sophisticated to handle cases? And the reason I'm saying this is that The president of Liberia don't care about the Liberian people because he don't go to JFK. Minister Tuai doesn't go to JFK. Nathaniel Market doesn't go to JFK. The entire cabinet doesn't go to JFK.
Hold on 1 second there. Dr. Joy, let me stop you. And I'm hearing you that the president of the Republic of Liberia doesn't care for the Liberian people. That itself is a serious indictment. A year or maybe a year ago, the president visited the JFK, I believe, to acquaint himself with the situation, with the conditions and things that I needed. Can one say it was just a charade, was just an exhibition? Is that how you see it to be?
It was an exhibition. Since a visit, what has been done in JFK to improve the life of the Liberian people? You saw when Nangbe Straw, his soul rest in peace. You saw when he died in JFK, you saw what he was lying on as a certain representative. That doesn't speak volume. The only people who get herself out of the country are those who go down had the seditions. For instance, the lady Mona Pena, let her soul rest in peace, they flew out of the country. The vice president God said they flew out of the country. Minister Mamadu Yipon God said they flew out of the country. Nangma Straw was not additional sedition, I will put it, down had the sedition. So he ended up in JFK.
Wait a minute.
So what happened there?
Mr. George, someone out there will be saying that these are all conspiracy. Are you saying the Liberal is laughing? I wouldn't be surprised here when the Liberal come forcefully here. To Liberal, I know you're going to be coming into it. Let me just get further clarification. Are you saying because of Nangbe's law, quote unquote, is not a traditional or original to seditions, so he was left by the wayside? That's a huge indictment you are placing on the government of Liberia.
And I gave it 3 instances. Mona Pena was taken out of the country. May her soul rest in peace. Vice President Joel was sick. She was flown out of the country. Minister Mahmoud Nyapan gone out of the country. These are people who are the nucleus of the government, either sedition or central part of the government. And the 3 instances I gave you already. Nangma Straw came from the Unity Party to join CDC. So he had not been considered as one of those down the sedition. So her payment was to go to JFK, where the other Liberians go and the prescription to go buy drugs from Oxford. But if the president is serious, why would he be threatening to fire 19,000 workers when you don't have those 19,000 workers to replace those people? Who's going to cater to Madam Lopu when she runs to JFK? Is the students going to cater to them?
Okay, I think we have a background noise there from your end, but Joy, see whether it can be still here. Yeah. So, okay, let me go to the Liberal there because he seems to rap about what? What is it? What is the voltage of the current in Liberia? Is that 220 something?
220. Yes, 220.
Yeah, in my own interpretation, it is like a 220 volt electric cable wire now you are putting around the government and perhaps to say the president. I don't think it's going down well with the Liberal. Liberal, progressive.
Far from it. But there's nothing less that I expect out of a conservative person from the South to sit on this platform this evening. So that is not unexpected. We expect these kinds of stuff. I'm not here to defend the government, but to sit here publicly, Mr. George, to say that the president of the Republic of Liberia do not care for the people that elected him. And then I found that a little bit unsettling, let's be frank. Now, the issue with the healthcare worker, one of their demands, not just the money, they want to unionize. And the government is saying that in the book, worker book, in this country, you cannot work for the government and unionize yourself. You cannot be a union. If you want to be a union, you have to be a private a company or whatever. But a government worker cannot become a union member. That's one of the arguments. Having said that, Mr. Josh, the point here is this. When you the idea of this person flying out of Liberia going to the place and the president, speculation. I'm not going to go into that because first of all, it's what I do know and what I know happened.
Hold on. Mona Pena flew out of the country.
Yes. But the justification you're connecting.
Joy, hold on. Let a Liberal make his point.
The justification that you're connecting, they are flying out of the country as being somehow because they are connected. I find that hard to believe. Number one, in order for a sick person in Liberia to fly out of the country, I'm definitely sure that the family members of that sick person going to have to participate in the conversation, number one. Second, we don't know the entire story as to why and how these people flew from Liberia to go seek medical attention, and why they say our own brother Nabwesla was not able to have that kind of opportunity. I don't know that. I don't know the conversation. But to say that the president of the Republic of Liberia and the entire government do not care for their citizens, for that reason, they allow people like Nabwesla from influence, not just from what you just stated. They allow, and I'm just paraphrasing you now, they allowed Nabwesla to go to JFK, and therefore people, there are people that go to JFK on a serious, with a serious illness, and they come out. So you cannot indict the entire healthcare system in Liberia. I know we're trying. I know the healthcare system, the educational system, and everything else is not working properly. I understand that. But let us be responsible in our criticism. Let us try to be a little bit, give these people some sort of a latitude. These people that are working and running the government. Let's remember, the government of Republic of Liberia is functioning. It's not there. Liberia it's not considered to be a failed state. Not yet. So if we're going to criticize, we must do so with responsibility. In other words, let us try to give these people some little latitude. And that's my argument this afternoon, Mr. Saul.
Okay, and Pa George, the Liberal seems to be coming out forcefully here this evening here. Even though, yeah, we are, Donald Trump is about, now he's tweeting all over the places here to say he wants to bring in conservative, and that's how he has been here. So let me bring you to debunk some of the arguments. Where do you agree with the Liberal in his presentation, or is he on the wrong side of history?
I may not want to use the word wrong side, but let me just point out something. You have the National Civil Servant Association of Liberia. Those are all government employees. Civil servants, they have a union. They have a representative. So why do they want to prevent the healthcare not forming a union? Why? And you talk about Fair Workplace Act. Liberia signed it. So why the workers cannot get together form their own union? The medical workers. Why? Now, the issue.
You seems to be. You seems to want Black the Liberal to Silvigos here this evening to get him strangulated, because these are all tough question punches.
And far from it, Mr. So far from it. Because in the book,
Liberal, hold on. You're gonna cut me. I don't want to cut him off. I'm just trying to draw his attention. He should take it easy with the old man. We have not reached our stage for anybody to how you call it here. Yeah, go ahead, Pa Joy.
Yeah, so the issue that he raised about family members and things, when you are representative, you have medical benefits. So when you get sick, your medical benefit kicks in. Is he telling me that the lady young blood, when she tried, it was at her own expense? No, it was at government expense. Adrian, please, man. It was at her own expense. I was at government expense. You saw government show every responsibility. The vice president driving is at government expense. They got benefit. The minister going to Ghana is at government expense. It's not from their pocket. These are benefits they have. Okay. But someone in the market don't have the benefit. They are not employee of government. What they rely on is JFK. Now, if the president said if those people don't report to work, he's going to fire every one of them. Remember, all these people also. Are the people current? No. Are the benefit, other benefit attached current? No. What happened to the $30 million that was released to fight the COVID-19? Why they could not pay those people? But those are all part of the demand that people are making has a benefit. Why they could not pay these people that money? But now you threaten them because you say they are asking to form a union or asking for the benefit. So the result is, if they don't go to work, you fire them. Is that justifiable? Is that someone who have the country at heart? The president himself, according to the memo, sat down in a meeting with these people, promised them. And so now, he did not meet up with the side of the bargaining. So you expect him to say, oh yeah, the president is concerned?
Okay.
I'm telling you what latitude. President Weah is not concerned at the people well-being of Liberia. What they do is lip service. And from the action is why I'm speaking from. Why JFK today send the president visit to JFK? How many equipment? It's not my word. Yesterday, in front of the minister, the lady said, this is her first time seeing JFK in a deplorable condition than ever before since she started working JFK in her life. If the president were catering to that hospital, why a nice will go on national TV to speak like I said that her first time seeing a deplorable condition of the hospital? Why would she say, and the Minister of Finance was present, the Minister of Labor was present? Then they decided in the Minister of Labor said, oh, there's a law, it has to be ratified, but the Minister of Justice, they had not ratified that. But you sign an agreement, Fair Work Act. Why the Minister of Justice or the National Legislature had not ratified that? To give people the right. Why? What people are we waiting for? Why they had not signed it? What are they waiting for? Because they don't want people to organize, to have one voice. They want to continue to come and divide and say, oh, go call it all, we'll get up to 5,000. So just need it. You need to take care of these people.
Okay, hold your peace here. Let me step in the middle, and I'm going to bring in the liberal. He's been listening here attentively. We saw the video of John Magufuli that we were playing. The guy from Tanzania, the guy who has been considered as the bulldozer because of his prompt actions, immediate action, and endeavors to get a result. Let's do a comparison here. They are not in the same context. Magufuli went to the hospital, to visit the hospital, and he saw the deplorable conditions of the hospital, and he took a vehement decision. No, I gave you guys 3 weeks. But what he did was to take a prompt action. Those that were in charge, some of those people were quickly put down in the sense that they were fired. And he told the new director, in 3 weeks, I got to be back here. If you don't get it done, you're going to get fired. And what happens? In 3 days, the material there. So let's see that scenarios. Let's see whether it is applicable to Dr. Weah's visit to JFK. But before that, let us get a look at this tape of John Magufuli and some of the things when he came to power, things that he allowed to stay within, or some of the things that he got to let go in order to make his to have a good governance. I'm Alfonso Zay, so out of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. Samson Branto is in Sacramento, California, LPR New England Bureau, LPR Sacramento Bureau, and our senior contributor, Mr. Amos George, is right there, is in Atlanta City. Let's watch the little clip of John Magufuli and see whether we can make a comparison with that of the visit of George Weah and what came out of his visit from JFK. I'm Alfonso Zay, so stay tuned.
Hello my fellow, let us look on the reasons why Tanzania's John Magufuli is Africa's most beloved president. John Magufuli, the current president of Tanzania, is completely restructuring his home country and we're loving it. In a continent where politicians say the opposite of what they mean to do, Magufuli is an outlier. Here are the 8 reasons why we admire this man. 1. He came from humble beginnings. Magufuli is a former school teacher, industrial chemist and ex-minister of works. He is the son of a peasant farmer. 2.
Yeah. No.
Hello my fellow, let us look on the reasons why Tanzania's John Magufuli is Africa's most beloved president. John Magufuli, the current president of Tanzania, is completely restructuring his home country and we're loving it. In a continent where politicians say the opposite of what they mean to do, Magufuli is an outlier. Here are the 8 reasons why we admire this man. 1. He came from humble beginnings. McGiffili is a former school teacher, industrial chemist and ex-minister of works. He is the son of a peasant farmer. 2. He's shown integrity. As the Minister of Works, he was reputed to be a no-nonsense, results-driven politician. It was while in office that he got nicknamed the bulldozer for steering the program to build good roads in Tanzania. He had opportunities to make riches while he held this position, but chose not to. 3. He campaigned for the presidency on a platform of hard work. Hard work from his previous position as a minister. He also did push-ups to show that he was fit and ready for office. 4. He's been keeping his promises. Since being sworn in as Tanzania's president on November 5, John Magufuli has been cracking down on corruption and wasteful spending. This has led to him losing a lot of friends. But he doesn't let that stop him from doing the good work. 5. He's been leading by example. Rather than doing the disappearing act, or practicing do as I say not as I do, he's been acting out what he preaches. Let's give you some examples. For Tanzania's Independence Day in 2015, rather than spend money on celebrations that would promptly have been forgotten the next day, he ordered a cleanup exercise. And he didn't just order it, he joined in. This caused thousands of Tanzanians to come out and join as well, because if their president could do it, who are they not to? When going to officially open Parliament, Magufuli didn't go by plane, he drove all the way. He has reduced the size of the presidential convoy, as well as the size of presidential delegation that travel with him. What a guy. 6. He's been channeling Tanzania's monetary sources to more important ventures. Not long after assuming office, he took drastic measures to boost government coffers, which includes A. He put a stop to the public procurement of goods and services at inflated costs. He declared that anyone found procuring public goods or services on inflated prices will face the music. B. Immediate ban on foreign travels by public servants. He did this on his 3rd day in office. He stated that all tasks that necessitated government officials to travel abroad will now be done by the country's high commissioners and ambassadors abroad. C. He called on all public institutions to cut expenditure on refreshments during meetings. Magufuli decried unnecessary heavy refreshments being offered at meetings and directed that lunch be served in very rare and exceptional circumstances, where a meeting that starts in the morning is expected to continue into the evening. D. He issued a directive for unnecessary physical meetings to be stopped and for public servants to conduct conference calls instead. This is to cut unnecessary costs that the government incurred from meetings and conferences held at various venues. 7. He made education free for children whose parents couldn't afford it. A promise he made during his election campaign. He also directed relevant authorities to sort and resolve the problem stopping the release of education loans. 8. He keeps federal workers on their toes, so they don't mess up. He went to the federal hospital unannounced and made sure to visit all the wards, including those kept from high-profile visitors like himself. After discovering the sorry state, he fired the director, the hospital board, and ordered that the equipment that weren't working to be repaired within 2 weeks, otherwise he would fire even the newly appointed director. The repair happened in 3 days. Thanks for watching. Don't.
Okay, folks, let's see here. Are you guys hearing me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was trying to make a comparison. It might not be in the same context of data, but what I do note, Dr. We have visited JFK, the guy, he lets a lot of friends go. What is the guy? He kept people, federal employee on his toes. I'm going to be getting. Let's take a quick commercial break from our sponsor, and then Lebrot, you're going to take it away. I'm Alfonso Z, and so we'll be right back. And this has to do, as you know, this COVID is all over the place here. The Liberia Public Radio has put a plan in place to make that accommodation for those of you that have organizations, associations. We can virtually host your convention. And because in time of crisis, you want to keep in touch with your base, with your group. Don't desert them because of COVID-19. That's part of leadership. We see genuine leadership in time of crisis. When we're having a good time, you don't know who is a good leader. Let's take a quick break and I'll be right back.
You've worked for months to bring your or your client's event to life, but unfortunately, the world had another plan. In reality, the only thing you lost is the venue. We take your vision for hosting a virtual conference and bring it to life online. No matter how complex your agenda is, we produce a smooth, engaging experience. Call the Liberia Public Radio today and schedule your event. Our number is 682-433-8802. If you prefer to submit your request via email, please send the request to liberiapublicradio2012@gmail.com. Our staff are standing by waiting for your phone call.
Okay. Guys, are you there?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Let's can we is it fair to apportion Mokafoli to visit? But what we can also say though, Dr. Weah visited JFK Liberal, correct? You remember that?
Yes, but just by playing that video, you're once again damping my spirit because my spirit was high. I had a conservative from the South and the bike heels, but by you playing that video, damping my spirit a little bit. But I'm going to try to pick up myself again. And there'll be on a very serious note, Mr. So. These things are very difficult for some of us. Those of us that believe in the pro-poor agenda. It seemed to me, and I said, it seemed to me that this president, remember his previous career where he was playing soccer, playing football. So on the football pitch, he was playing at the highest level. And on the football field, when he's there, he get instant gratification by folks all around in the stadium cheering for him, calling his name. And that also, with that instant gratification, gave him more energy to do what he had to do on the football field. Transferring that kinds of behavior from the football field to the political activity. Politics is a game of one-on-one sometimes. Politics is a dirty game where you have your hand to be dirty. In the football field, after the Sunday game is over, until the next game, his entire life is a private life. Whatever he does is fine. In politics, he can't have a break in between to say, today I'm a president, today I'm not a president, I will do what I want to do. It don't work like that. Now, so it seemed to me that Dr. Weah, if you watch, whenever he goes places, the people always thinking, cheering him on. Even if you know what he's there for, perhaps it's not even the correct reason. People are always cheering him on.
Mr.
That's like the same way when he was playing sport. Now,
Mr. Toh.
Yes.
Are you addressing my questions? Or
yes, I'm trying to give you a background context before I jump into it.
I guess you know.
Come on, we're having a good time.
Hello, hold on. You know me. When I ask a question, I anticipate to get an answer.
But from a liberal progressive, your anticipation means nothing. I have to give you a context in order for me to answer your question effectively. And that's what I'm doing. Now, having said all of that, I've just laid out the scenario. Dr. Weah going to places, to JFK, and trying to impact the life of the people, the life of the Liberians. He tries his best. But let's look at this. Immediately when the government came to power, I stated that from the beginning, one of the first few people he hired was Emmanuel Shah. Emmanuel Shah has a record. Emmanuel Shah, he's been in Liberian politics for a very long. Everyone about the little children, they know who Emmanuel Shah. So if you coming in as a government who's been running campaign based on change and hope, and you're gonna come with Maya Shah, then what it is? And that's exactly the perception he has put out there, continue to haunt him. So Dr. Weir perhaps is trying his best to say, okay, let's go to the JFK hospital. Let's see how much we can improve the situation. But there are people, because of his relationship with people, he's friendly. He doesn't like to fire people. How many times Dr. Weir not fire people? Except if the situation is so egregious that everybody, oh, they want got to go. Other than that, he doesn't fire friends. Why Samuel Tuah still have a job? Okay, those are people that he's supposed to get rid of by now. But that's not his style. So if we're going to do these kinds of stuff, let us see who this man is. Who is Dr. Weir? Then you can say, okay, based on his own personality, now we can say, let's examine how does he apply his own life to that of the presidencies of the Republic of Liberia. And I think those are two different situations that is really giving Dr. Weir a problem. That's my opinion.
So before I go to Pa George here, your laundry list was so huge, from Totan to Monrovia, then Brussels Airways, this and back to New York. You have to pick up another flight to Sacramento, California. Perhaps you went through Ohio, all of that. Okay, we have to go through transition here. All what you have explained, are they justifiable?
Well, Mr. So, that's a very tough one, to be honest with you. Justification of the inept behavior from this government.
You don't have answer to that question, right?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I said it might be different, but that doesn't mean I can't answer a difficult question. Please, I'm a liberal. Justification. Yes, you can say to justify the behavior of an inept people that are supposed to carry out a policy. It is very difficult to do. However, one thing I want you to know, the government of Liberia is functioning. It's not a banana republic.
No, that's not,
we might not agree with that. We might not agree with the things they do. However, they are doing the kinds of work they're supposed to do.
Don't play the trump card on me here this evening. Don't retweet what I didn't say. I'm just asking you a simple question. Apparently, you cannot answer that question. I understand. So, do you need a little more time to answer my question?
I already answered your question. I said there's no justification for a government and people who are supposed to implement policy because of their inept attitude. No policies are not being carried out. So I can't justify that.
Okay. Let's go a little bit deeper into Mokafoli tape here. So we try to make comparison here and all what we are doing here to find solution here. It was also stated that he has to let certain friends go. Are we seeing that in that context? Had that been applicable into our own society, Dr. Weir? Can we make a reference that he has to let certain friends go in order to get, Samuel Tuah, this person, that person, the Imayo Shore, the Liberian people overwhelmingly, in your own wordings, right on this network here, 61, 62.5% duly elected. Correct? Those are your words, always, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I can hold Dr. Weir. He is my president. What I voted for him for or not, he is the president of the Republic of Liberia. I'm not going to look at Samuel Tuah. Those people are under his direct supervision. Okay, let me go to Pa George. Pa George.
Yeah.
You listen to the deliberate. Is that a salad dressing way of answering my questions, or do you think he was attempting answering my question?
Yeah. No, he just had a bit around the bush. He tried to distract us from the issue.
Wow. Well,
a leader, there are certain characteristics a leader must possess. If a leader cannot take decisive decision, then of course that country is doomed. And look at the people around President Weir. Anybody that President Weir fire, that person is not the inner circle of CDC. The guy from the National Health Institute, that's one. He fired him. He said they were going to publish a document. I don't know what I got seen that.
You got to be very specific yet in providing some specific in your argument this evening.
Yeah. He fired a guy from the National Health Institute. He said they're going to publish the report. I'm still, maybe the public can't see the report yet, but I'm still waiting. And he's not from CDC. Now, if the president is going to almost 3 years, the president has not had no reshuffle in his cabinet. Is he saying those people are the only competent people in Liberia that we all in Liberia cannot move? With all the myths.
Okay, it seems to be I haven't. Okay, go ahead.
So why are they supposed to stay around? Why are they supposed to stay around? Ajibwa Bona is in the mansion. We know who Ajibwa Bona is. Charles Brett is there.
Okay, let's see
and
here.
See this country going downhill spiral. You think some people should be sitting around?
Are you there, Pa Josh? I hope the Liberal, I hope you're much closer to Liberal. I hope he didn't strike you. Let me see here. Okay, I think I need to get him out and to see whether he can come back here. Let me just get him out here. Okay, the Liberal.
Yes.
Okay, what was it? You strike Pa Josh?
Well, once again, I think while Mr. George is making some good point, but it seems to be that he has some sort of amnesia. He doesn't seem to want to remember that the president of the Republic of Liberia, everyone that worked for the president, worked for the will and pleasure of the president. He can fire you whenever he thinks you're not doing. He doesn't have to justify anything. So the firing of anybody, and then you said because he's not an insider, that's speculation. And I'm not about speculation. I don't deal into speculation. I don't try to make speculations some sort of issues. So I will allow Mr. George to speculate, and that's okay. But to come on here in the public forum and say that this government fire people because these people are not insider, then I find that a little bit disheartening, to be honest with you.
Okay, hopefully Pa George will rejoin us here. You are having a little problem from his end. Hopefully you're going to rejoin us here. And as usual, you know the tradition here to our onliners, those that are watching us. Okay, I believe Pa George is here. Those that are watching us, we're going to also have them here as well. They're going to be making their contribution here. Well, folks are going to be putting the number out there as well, so that you're going to make a contribution. Pa George, go ahead. I think we're having a little bit of technical. Yeah, go ahead. But I think this. I was asking, is that a Liberal that strike you or what? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Something's moving. Okay. That's what I'm saying. See the brown guy, when I gas on shot, hit. The person already immediately fired and should be prosecuted. What happened to that case?
Okay, now George is
director.
It's not Samson Toe.
Yes.
Did you
what do you expect from South? People from the South, they can't cope with the liberals, the northern liberals. They can't make it with us. And that's what you do when you come from the South. A long time in other places, those are Southern ideas. They're backwards. So that's what we get. That's what we get. So I'm from the capital, liberal capital of the world. That's what I am. So that you can see me, you can hear what I say. There's no way I'm going to go blank on you here this evening. And because that's what we do. We're liberal. We provide these kinds of things for people to have the opportunity to express themselves freely. But you conservative, and especially conservative from the South, they sometimes have a way to oh, the man talking plenty. They close you down. Maybe that's what's happening with Mr. George.
Who did that?
I didn't do it. I'm saying the big brothers in the South, because that's what they do. They look at people, you're talking, they say, man, making too much sense. They can shut you down. And that's what we say. You, if you know that you want to be a liberal, come north. Don't stay down south. South is not a place to be as a liberal or a conservative.
Let's see here. Let's inject politics into this whole thing here. What is unfolding here? Okay, he's back here. He's doing his own business here. Let's see what happened here.
Okay.
All right. The liberal is celebrating here your absence.
But I'm back.
Okay. Carry on. Let's see before we can check the topic.
As I was saying, so the people you see, President, we have to take decisive decision against are not people of his inner circle, are not downhearted seditions. Probably came from other parties. And he get to know them and gave them a job, so he take those action. But even with taking the action, it's just a lip service because you don't see any prosecution that's supposed to follow, don't follow. So if you have the kind of leader, the country will not move forward. Because it means that he cannot look into his best friend's face and say, you know what happened? You got to go. Let me give you one example. Look at the late Nelson Mandela and his wife, Winnie. When he was faced with a choice, either to let Winnie go, or he would not stand for the ANC as presidential candidate. What he did, with all the 28 years of suffering that Winnie was out there championing, he allowed Winnie to go, divorce her, and he became leader of South Africa, chairman of the ANC. You think President Weah can take the kind of decision? No. And any leader who cannot take tough decisions, the country is bound to fail. And when you're taking decisions, it should also match your action. President, we know JFK problem. It's not a new problem today. Since the war, we know what JFK have gone through. But the question is, I tell people, it was because the promise he made to people that they were going to change things around, they were going to do things differently. So there's no excuse to say JFK is not equipped today because times are hard. No. You did not tell the people those things. You told them that you were going to change the situation. So the president went to JFK. They put forward JFK plan in terms of resources, equipment. They gave him everything. If the president had equipped his institution and the people are not getting results, then you go back there, you can fire anybody you want to fire. But if the hospital is not equipped, the nurses are not getting paid, where can you take that decisive action from? Where can you do it? You are tied your hand. This is the issue. How many persons in President Weah government, all the ministers, some of them have been named in so many scandals. Well, have you seen any full investigation to a full conclusion? No. Because why? They're the confidant of the president. They enjoy the confidence of the president. And they are his close friends. Every day they work, they leave from work, they go, the second office is Jamaica Research, they all go there. And so if this is happening, then of course the French supersede the country's interest. And it is why you have this kind of situation. How many personnel the army has to replace nurses? How many personnel the army do nurses that the army have? They don't have that much personnel to say now they're replacing nurses with army personnel nurses. How many did? And how are they run the 14 military hospitals? So the issue here is, if the way I see things going, I can tell anybody, President Weah is not a leader that can take a decisive action. And it's because that the country is suffering today.
Okay, let me give Gabriel a chance. Mr. Toh, you want to respond to him?
Yes, I think once again we have to.
Get a glass of water.
When we come to these kinds of situations, we have to try to divorce our emotion. And I think what I want to say to Pat Joyce, even though I agree with most of the things that he's saying, however, we have to understand that this government is functioning. That's the statement I want to make, and I want people to take out of this. Now, in terms of being decisive and everything else, in my own liberal mind, election matters. Election have consequence. And so if somebody is elected, people believing that he can perform a certain level and he's not performing a certain level, let's give the Constitution the means to function properly. In other words, in 6 years, according to the Constitution, there will be another election. And so we're going to come back to the drawing board and trying to find things and whatever we have to do. What I want us to stay out of is the money quarterback. We don't know what is happening in the cabinet meeting with Dr. Weah and his people. We don't know exactly what are some of the discussions that are ongoing. We don't know what kinds of issues or implementation that is on the book to fix JFK and everything else. I do agree that we're going to go from place to place to talk about JFK and everything else. However, we have to be very careful when we make the pronouncement.
Okay.
Hold on, Mr. Toll, let me ask the liberal. You don't think the Liberian people do have the right to know what is happening to the medical center, the teaching hospital? You don't think they're supposed to be informed about any development? 3 years now. What is the package that your government have put together to renovate JFK? What is the package that they are presenting to the Liberian people?
The progressive.
But yes, once again, the fact that you don't see it does not make it to say that it doesn't exist.
Do you see it? Can I ask you, do you see it?
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Do you see it?
Folks, these are too conservative are trying to pin me down here this evening, and I'm trying my best to keep my cool. But let me just be this. Let me just say the fact that you don't see it, we know that the government is functioning, and if you agree with me that the government is functioning, then I think you don't need to see everything to know things are happening. Number one, on a very serious note, JFK is still treating patients. JFK is still functioning. So the fact that the high political leaders and things do not go to JFK, I understand that's something you feel like, why you want me to go here and you're not going there? I understand that. But let us also understand that the government, especially the executive, have a mandate from the people. The government was duly elected, 61.5% of the vote. And so if we're going to be like a money quarterback, let us also be mindful that this government is functioning.
Okay.
Mr.
Hold on. Let me bring something to you. Ali, if you want to join this conversation here, just inbox you to Mr. Ty Jackson to try to reach you. But I'm not
You read what he got down there?
Mr. Toll.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Aliyu Samba. You remember yesterday the guy, he said anytime you comes on, he always got a like. But see what he writing here? Look, the progressive is struggling this evening. Do you agree with me?
Yes, I'm struggling, to be honest with you. Yes, I do agree I'm struggling, because the reason I'm struggling, I'm looking at it from a different perspective, to be honest with you. One is the government, I know, and to be honest with you, that the government perhaps is not performing to the expectation of many Liberians. I understand that. But I also come to this position to tell you that this government was elected. Election matters. Election, it have consequences.
Hold on 1 second. You're struggling now. It seems to be going over the speed limit here. Nobody has ever created a talking point here that this government is not 100%, is not elected, the government is not functioning. Why you consistently deliberately on purpose to incite.
Because I want you to understand that while we out here doing a money type quarterbacking and what have you, speculating all over this place, we don't know.
Speculation? So are you seeing these questions that we are asking this evening? Are they not legitimate questions?
They are legitimate questions to ask. I agree with you. But my point that I'm trying to make here this afternoon is this, Mr. So. This government, once we agree that yes, this government is functioning, then the inner functioning, the little mechanism that make the government moving from one point to another, we don't know all of those things. Well, for example, we talk about JFK.
Let me make a renovation. Before you come here, our listening audience, Pajoy, before you come here, all of us here, staff of the Liberia Public Radio, let me make it crystal clear here. The views and opinions expressed by Mr. Toll does not in any form, shape, represent the government of the Republic of Liberia. We have tried to reach out. The views and opinions expressed by Mr. Amos George, who is a senior contributor on LPR here, is not the views of the opposition. That's something the oppositions empathize with here this evening. For his, seeing some reaction here. Neither of what I've views and questions that I'm asking here, they are all open backs and open questions that ordinary Liberian intend to ask. I just thought I made this point clear so that we're all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Let me finish my point. Since your audience are so much in tune to this, let me finish my point. I agree, and I've already admitted I'm struggling. So
why not get a glass of water like me?
Mr. So, I don't drink water when I'm in there. Look at you guys. You guys are really having fun today. When I'm ready for you, both conservative, you don't drink. But look at you. Every 5 minutes, every one of you taking sip as though you're celebrating the fact that the liberal is struggling here. But don't you think that I have the ability to redeem myself? I can. But on this one, to be honest with you, if things are not working well, we must admit this government, the expectation of the Liberian people, specifically when it comes to this government, is high. And the government is not meeting that expectation. Nevertheless, one of the worst things the government does, they don't give information to the people. So you have people like Mr. George who try to amplify. You have people like Mr. George who try to cover up or say, okay, you don't provide the information, we will put it in for you. And then you have the liberal progressive who have the true belief in the pro-poor agenda that which the government is not even talking about anymore. However, this government is functioning. That's all that I can say.
Am I part of people like Mr. George? Because he seems to put her in a basket of deplorable now. That's why you are getting ready to throw your rare meat at us. Because we've been having a civil conversation. It seems that something is trying to prop you up now to get this conversation over.
You are not a host. You are part of Mr. George kabuki dancing against me here this afternoon. So you're not a host. Let us not pretend that you are a host. You're trying to you're one of same as Mr. George and trying to do a kabuki dance with me, and I'm trying my best to redeem myself, and I will do so before the show is over. See, both of you, just to give you an example, a few minutes ago, both of you were sipping water and having celebration, the fact that the liberal progressive is struggling on these type of issues.
All right, let me give Liberal a break. Let's take a quick commercial break, and I will go to Pat George, and quickly we're going to pivot into another talking point. I'm Alfonso Zeyenso of the Liberia Public Radio, LPR TV. We'll be right back.
You've worked for months to bring your or your client's event to life, but unfortunately, the world had another plan. In reality, the only thing you lost is the venue. We take your vision for hosting a virtual conference and bring it to life online. No matter how complex your agenda is, we produce a smooth, engaging experience. Call the Liberia Public Radio today and schedule your event. Our number is 682-433-8802. If you prefer to submit your request via email, please send the request to liberiapublicradio2012@gmail.com. Our staff are standing by waiting for your phone call.
Okay, well, for folks developing right now, we just getting the information here. The outgoing senator to date of Grandview County, Senator Alfonso Gay, he is the only senator that is not seeking to re-election out of the 15 political subdivision, has confirmed with the Liberia Public Radio. He will be my guest on Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which should be approximately around 8 p.m. We are hearing potentially Senator Gay could be making announcement or which direction is he leading. As you know, a lot of candidates have been certified. We're going to get to that point here. I'm not sure whether you're going to be going to liberal column, but we're going to soon we will soon be changing our conversation here. And as usual, we'll also like our onliners to contribute. Is there anything you want to add, Mr. George?
Yeah, let me make this clear. My argument tonight is not that the government is not a legitimate government. I have not raised that issue. President Weah was duly elected. I'm not raising the issue of legitimacy. My argument tonight, as it relates to JFK, is that the government has failed the people. If JFK is functioning, you go there, you can't even get what we call telemedicine. Peninsula, you can't get there. They give you prescription to go outside to buy medicine. Why they cannot set up a revolving funds where the drugs will be brought in and the poor people pay maybe a half of that price just to keep it going as a revolving thing. Why JFK cannot? They had it there before during the whole time it was there. So the issue here is people should not be talking about 12 years. Why Ellie didn't do it? That's why government is continued. Government come, government go. Where JFK was when President Weah took over, he's not supposed to improve on it. But instead, it's deteriorating. Okay? So that's not argument. I see people, nobody should ask what happened to 12 years. No. 12 years, Ellen did something at JFK. It's not my word. The nurse yesterday said it. In front of Minister 12. She said the condition of the hospital is so deprived, she had not seen that ever since she been in JFK. And I'm not making the story up. A person if the government can threaten to fire 19,000 health workers. That's not me making it out. It means that they are not going in the right direction.
Mr. So,
let me hold you right there.
Let me make one thing clear, please, before we move on, Mr. So, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Let me say this to the audience. My argument here this evening is not to argue on the side of the government. Far from it. I'm just trying to make a point here. I agree on many of the things my brother, Mr. George is saying. I'm just saying that we have to see if we can work with this government. Now, there's somebody wrote on here saying Mr. Tu has never seen wrong a picture of government because no, it's not that because I used to eat hard time biscuits in Montreal. I know what suffering is. Okay, I know it's not the kind of suffering people going through now. But here's the thing I want you guys to understand. The government is already being elected. And even if things are not going the right way that we want things to go, we can talk about it. We can do whatever it is, a question, and have these kinds of conversation. But at the end of the day, let us, if we don't put for some sort of a resolution, let us give these people that are working, let's give them some latitude. And we're not satisfied, comes election, we can remove this government. There's no question asked. That's what I'm trying to argue tonight.
Okay, and that's a fact. And I think I've re-echoed that, folks. We want you to know. So we just need some sort of civility here. Let us engage the conversations as we critique or as we express our views and opinions. We must also be able to put forward recommendations. Let's pretend whether they accept. Our job is to put forward here. But before we pivot into the next talking point, and we're going to be opening the lines here, Pa George, you kind of been forceful here. I am not a guy who always dwell into hypotheticals and stuff like that. But let me just put you in the seat as the chief executive of the Republic of Liberia, in the positions of Dr. George Weah. And specifically with this health workers issue here, if you were sitting in the overall office, what would you do? How will you approach this whole situation? Other than what we're seeing happening on this sort of press release?
What I would do, first thing, when people work, they must be paid. Pay the people. Second, find out what it would cost to have JFK to a standard that you can compare to other countries within the sub-region. Then you do a long-term planning, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, or stage 4. This period, we're going to use this time to develop this. This one will do this. Then this issue of unionization gave the people the right. Let the people form the union. Because it is their right. The union speak on their behalf. What is the big deal? If the government is doing the right thing, you will not be afraid of union. Because the union is only there to advocate it for the benefit of the employees. So why tie all these things? Those are the things I will work on. And lastly, my word. You see, this is very important as a leader. If you go and tell people, I will do this, give me this time. And if for any reason you cannot meet up with that deadline, the first thing you do is to call these people back. To say, hey, we had an agreement, but because of constraints, I cannot meet up with this, or we cannot meet up with this demand. So we want people to give us a little time that will move this thing forward. But you don't wait. The times lapse, then the people come, and you say, oh no. Now I ready to replace people. So those are the things I would do. Prehend so many things.
Okay, though we are looking for a specific word. Maybe the Liberal will grab on this one here, because we are already in the crisis. Mr. Toll, if you were sitting in the Oval Office, the crisis is already on here. In order to minimize, to subdue, or to even avoid it from coming within the public domain, if you were to advise in the president, or if you were the president, you are the president of the Republic of Liberia, what could have been the first initiative you have embarked on?
Well, Mr. So, the first thing first, the union issue should be settled, number one. Secondly, as I stated earlier, the people are not just asking to be unionized. They also want the money. You say you don't have money. That was one of the things the government continued to express, that they don't have money. But yet still you have people who are seeking the office through your party. They have money. They're paying people money in the street. And the people who are working in this kinds of hard time, and you say you don't have money to give them. That's very difficult to reconcile. That's something that you can't reconcile. Now, I'm not in the government. I don't have the ability to advise anyone. This government is as far as I see it, just by looking at people like Gemaya Shah and the rest of it, they are unredeemable. You can't redeem this government. There's no way you're going to be able to advise the government for them to take your advice. Because if you do so, people like Gemaya Shah and the other people will feel threatened that you want to take their position. And therefore, they will. I told you guys from day one that we allow ourselves to have doctor. We are put in a bubble. And he's no longer reachable. We can't reach him. He's in a bubble. And as long as he remains in that bubble, he doesn't see anything else wrong with what he's doing because he's in a bubble.
Okay. This time around, I'm going to break ring here. The answers I was looking for from both of you guys, I did not see it coming. So we are already in a crisis, and I know it was something, it just didn't happen overnight. So I'm wondering whether there was an intervention, or whether there was a meeting called to compromise, to reach a compromise. And that's one of the things that I've realized this government is somehow finding it very difficult to do, because this could potentially be a good talking point on the part of the opposition to validate their argument, the inability of this government to address a certain issue here. And then we can dwell on it, we can extend to the question, was it a good idea, first of all, to go to building of this hospital? What is that? What, 14?
Yeah, 14.
Because it was a huge conversation in the past. JFK has been to one of the referral hospitals within the southwest, in the region there. People come there. So what some of us was thinking whether the government were upgraded, maybe after the visit of the president, they were being. I was in Liberia, I visited there, and I saw a lot of things that they didn't allow. Or want to say with the executive director, they did not allow our cameras to roll through. It is good to build new structure, but when you have an old one that is not being managed, it's not up to standard, and you build new one, the possibility of even doing something different is quite difficult. So we're going to pivot now to have a little quick conversation, and then we're going to bring our callers in here. The next one is the challenges ahead of the 2020 senatorial elections. Politicians in the past and in the present, they have made some predictions. They are the predictor, but yet and still the somersault too as well came back into what the predictor. Listen to this guy here, and we will have a talking point and see what he said in the past. Are we gradually moving in that direction? It said the tone now the opposition is taking based on some of the things that we are hearing from supporters and other major actors in the Liberian politics. I'm Alfonso Zienso. We'll be right.
You have been very strong speaking out against Mr. George Weah. Why do you think he would be the wrong person to rule this country?
He was the world best, European best, Africa best, all the best, right? He made so much money. We are told $93 million. I stand to be corrected in this amount. But he made so much money to the extent that the United Nations looked at him and made him what? United Nations ambassador for UNICEF to donate his money to suffering children around the world. How many children in Liberia did he prioritize? Nothing. There's no George Weah Foundation. There's no sports academy. There's no recreation center. There's no public library for public school students. There is absolutely nothing. Money is gone. You want to be president to sit over our resources. The same way you mismanage yours, you will mismanage ours. That's what I think. We fear rigging. We fear rigging. If there's a rig election, we fear national civil response by the people of this country.
Fear that she might use her power not to rig for maybe the Unity Party, but for her new favorite candidate now.
She's a politician, is a very tricky person. A politician is unpredictable. So she might, because her son is in CDC. She might, and then Senator Gbesong Afili, that she has been supporting all along and interacting with, is also in CDC. McIntosh is in CDC. A lot of prominent people from the executive mansion, they are in CDC. So she might be carrying out a diversionary tactics while at the same time be aiming at somebody no one is thinking of. Nobody knows. Because her second cousin is Bronsky. Bronsky's mother, Ellen's mother were first cousin. So Ellen and Bronsky are second cousin. Okay? So her son is in CDC. All of these people with Ellen are in CDC. So people might say, oh, because her son is in CDC, she might rig in favor. No, she might possibly rig in favor of somebody I've been hearing about, perhaps Ellis Cummings. The stranger in the political terrain. But it's possible.
Everybody in Liberia is, of course, praying for peaceful elections. But if there are signs of the kind of rigging that you just mentioned, what is the way forward then?
We want peace. We need peace. We deserve peace. But because we need peace, we deserve peace, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who also signed onto that document, she live by the peace, by being neutral in our election. The only say I believe she can have is to put a one vote, one vote, but not to interfere. Nobody want to run away. I have established foundation. I have big schools, and they will graduate students every year. They pass wire. We don't want any trouble here. But we cannot spend our millions for election and you go and rig.
So if that happens?
If that happens, there will be a national civil response. A national civil response.
What method?
I said national civil response. They will use the constitution because their peace and their future will be in danger. So they will respond. To say
exactly
no to regulation.
What does it exactly mean, this response?
a national civil response. It could be the movement of the people to say no to regulation through a peaceful demonstration, through a stay-at-home demonstration.
Okay, guys. Nigerian Liberian turned senator stand to be corrected. There will be a national civil response. Those were the predictions. But yet instead, he took the hands of the president and deliver him to a vote-rich county of Nima County, and that happens. Can we trust this guy?
Look, Mr. So had told people, for Prince Johnson, I don't even let you hear a word from him. This guy is belly driven. It's all about money. This man stood up and when I heard talking about one time, they went at this Ganta or something when they were in the meeting. When he went, he saw person, we are so drunk that he got mad. He left that the man wasn't serious. He came back to tell us that if president, we have become president, this country will go to war. But yet, he took President Weah and carried him to Nima. And the Lord Nima can do President Weah. So what do the men stand for? The one thing I know President stand for is money. Money. Anywhere there's money, they follow money. So he's not someone, I mean, I would say this man have any standing, moral standing. But he doesn't have no moral standing. He has no moral compass. If you can talk about somebody like that, and you turn around and take the same person, then of course I question your moral character, your moral standing, and also your intelligence, because you're not being, and your honesty. Because if you are honest, you say all these things about me, then you take me and care me to your people, then of course I can't trust you. I always question your activities, and this is my take on Prince Johnson.
He's a politician. He said politicians are unpredictable. I don't know why he didn't include himself, the liberal. And this guy here, is he? Can we exclude him out of this sort of thing here as one of the guys who are unpredictable?
Well, Prince Johnson thought he was smart by making those kinds of regular statements. In terms of George Weah winning, there will be a war, and then he decided to introduce George Weah to the Liberian people, and George Weah were elected. But guess what? George Weah had the last laugh, because Prince Johnson was expecting some sort of a quick pro. It didn't happen, and he was mad a few months back, where he thought the CDC-led government was not giving job to people he wanted from Nima County, and they were not getting the kind of job that he thought he was going to get, for which he threw his support behind Mr. Weah. So in reality, you think you're smart? Somebody smarter than you. But Prince Johnson is not to be trusted. The only problem that I have is Nimadians, those are highly educated people, very smart people. And to sit there, I don't know. I don't know why they find so. What's the infatuation with Prince Johnson? Why is so much involved with Prince Johnson? There must be something. I don't know. There must be something. But every year, anytime his name come up for re-election or whatever, anybody is overwhelming and supporting, and they're still supporting him. So I can't sit here and condemn somebody who my brothers and sisters on the other side or from the other country continue to support. That's fine. But what I can say is that I don't trust Prince Johnson, number one. You saw what he did to Doe. Not the killing of Doe, but remember he went to the barracks and met with Doe. And Doe insisted that Prince Johnson must leave the barracks alive. Nobody should put their hand on Prince Johnson, because Doe trusted Prince Johnson and said, this man, if he can come here and talk about peace, then he's to be trusted. And Doe told his people, because when Prince Johnson went to the barracks, he was vulnerable. He was vulnerable. But because of what he lies and deceit, Doe trusted him and told his people nobody should touch him. And that's why we have Prince Johnson today. If it wasn't for that, Prince Johnson wasn't going to be alive. Okay, so for Prince Johnson to come and make statement like this as a Liberian, I'm uncomfortable with it. But then why is he always being elected by the people from Nima County? And the people from Nima County are very sensible people, very smart people. So I don't see these kinds of support to be, they people support it because they don't know what they're doing. Far from it. Highly educated group, highly educated group, very smart people, but their support for Prince Johnson has never wavered. So for me to question that, it's not what I want to do. All I can say is I don't trust Prince Johnson, and Prince Johnson will not determine my life in terms as a Liberian, will determine how I live in Liberia. I don't trust him.
Can any of us here forecast here to say which direction this guy gonna go comes 2023? He's on record for a lot of things. He says a lot of things. He has badged everybody, including the media world, a politician. He says whatever he wants to talk about, his colleagues and everybody. Can we anybody able to make that sort of educated guess which direction Prince Johnson going to find himself again come 2020, especially in the presidential?
Let me take this first. Let me just take this here very briefly, Mr. George. What I suspect will happen is that Prince Johnson will continue to support CDC, because CDC, one of the bigger problems Prince Johnson has is the war crime court, and CDC have not found itself to support the war crime court. But the next group, in fact, the opposition, the main opposition, their thing is about war crime court.
Okay, now just stop you there. The main oppositions. I had a little brief interview with Ellis Cummings and other lot of other media here. I've never heard that. I don't think he has taken a definitive position on the war crime court here. So I'm not sure that's going to happen.
Yeah, but that decision his supporters will make sure that decision, because majority of the opposition supporters are people that are calling for war crime court. And by the time next election comes around, the war crime court will be part of the will be on the war stage. The discussion will be heavily involved in the next election. So I don't see Prince Johnson jumping ship out of CDC. I see him continue with CDC as long as CDC-led government is not pushing for the war crime court.
Okay, and there's no way that the CDC can easily outcast him to put him as a prodigal son. Let me go to the line here to our first caller here. Pakwame is there. Good evening.
I enjoy two of you.
Okay, let me hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Let me work on this stuff here to give it good audio. Please bear with me here. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, much better. Go ahead. How are you this evening?
I'm okay. I always enjoy two of you. The atmosphere existed between you is very good. I think it's something that all Liberians should learn from. It brings joy to people. Really, I enjoy it sometimes. I think that's one of the factors that keep bringing me back to you guys.
Okay, thank you so much. And please also talk the bad side of us so that if possible, we can improve on it. Okay, Pakwame, and you are one of the guys that I always like to have a conversation because there's a lot to learn from you. And we have talked a lot here this evening, including the state of the statement coming from GOL with respect to the health workers. The president's making paying a visit at JFK a couple of months or a year ago. Try to establish that connection with Magufuli and all that is happening right now. What is the solution? Do you have a solution to those?
Well, a solution will not come from one person, but we will contribute sometime. We will try to pretend that we know, but, the solutions is required from everybody, all Liberian participations. But here's my take. Mm-hmm. There is nothing in Liberia to compare with John Magufuli in Tanzania. You have president, you have Mr. President. You have Mr. President in Liberia. Mr. Presidents are president who always seeking attention. Even if the minister perform, they do certain job, he want the credit. The marketers, the superintendent, he want the credit. He always want attention on himself. So therefore, they are lacking behind because they are attention seeker. And people who seeking attention, they have certain syndrome called attention deficit syndrome. That's a psychological term of it. It's so bad, but we don't know it. All right. The presidents are those who sit with the cabinet, with the specialists, with skillful people and plan and go out there to implement. It does not care whether that implementation is affecting or affect his friends. So that is the president. So that is the two different between president and Mr. President. And you also have busy doing nothing and busy. So George Weah is busy doing nothing because if the president takes upon himself and visit a desperate institution like JFK, which war the dormitory, the nursing war are cracking, and just go there for photo op and return year in, year out, nothing is being done about it. It is the only institution, the nation only institutions of learning to protect people. So that is busy doing nothing. All right. Regarding Prince Johnson, believe me, Prince Johnson is not a fool. He's not stupid. I don't, what Prince between. And I know a lot of people is not going to agree with me. Joe plays something called blind politics. I saw blind politics with one of my boss. I'm not going to mention his name here. So he assumed this politics is not in a book. You don't learn from anybody. It's just an assumption from the individual itself. All right.
Mm-hmm.
But to himself, believe me or not, he never trusted Prince Johnson. A guy who fought a war from the border with a lot of destruction all the way to Monrovia. There is nothing that you need from that person. Even if I want to have peace, genuine peace in the country, I don't want that kind of presence on the table. Because everywhere they passed was destruction. The Lanco was closed down, the hospital was closed down, the Ganta Mental Hospital was closed down, the Kokopa in Nima County was closed down. Every institution in Liberia that cater to the well-being of human beings was closed down. That itself is a war crime. The definitions of war crime is to, is to bring destruction to these facilities, religious area, institution, educational institution, health institution. Everything was affected. So I don't need anything from Prince Johnson at that stage. So that was mistake from Doe. It should not be repeated anymore. As regard to Prince Johnson himself, he is very, very smart. Let me tell you something. Yes, human rights campaigner, they are not genuine. You understand? Everything today is centered around politics. What is the politics here? The human rights campaigners, the union movement, the health movement, the social workers, the democratic campaigner, the gay rights movement, all these people are voting constituencies of democratic government or democratic party. When Democratic Party is in power in America, the Labour in power in Britain, the Labour in power in Israel, the Labour in powers in Japan, the Social Christian Democrat headed by Marcos in Germany in power, the Social Democrats in France headed, all these government all the way to Sudan. Then they became very active because they want to justify the money that they are receiving from donation. They go to these senators, they go to the lawmaker, they increase them, they put their platform before these lawmakers, their agendas. And that agenda includes to investigate. They don't care what is the nature, what is the factors of the conflicts in those countries, because they already got money from their donor and they pay themselves out of this money. They got good life. So when Mr. Boakai came to this country, I don't know whether you guys know about it. He was invited, and human rights campaigner were behind him. Mm-hmm. So he went to Washington, he went to Philadelphia, he has a speech there. That's what Prince Johnson saw. That this guy not going to protect my interests. This is what Liberia don't know. So otherwise Prince Johnson was not satisfied with we at all. But he was left with a choice. If he put two bad things together, one becomes less bad. So that's what happened to him. So he said, well, this guy always in the arena of these human rights campaigners in America, this and that. So therefore, so this is why he turned around. So I still consider him to be very smart. And he would stay long in Liberian politics because that's how you play Liberian politics. There is no permanent policy or permanent interest in Liberian politics because In politics, there are three flexible and dirty words. That is FOR, for you, and WRTH, we are for you, and BY, we stand by you. Then they are for you, they go with different person. They stand by you, they vote for different person. So these are three flexible and dirty words in politics. People have to know that. So I still consider Prince Johnson to be genius when it comes to Liberian politics, because he play politics based on his interest first. And which is the best way to play politics. All right. So this is what happened in Liberia, the human rights thing. And it is a very tough sell. Let me tell everybody, in the context of human rights, to bring war code to Liberia. Okay, somebody will say, oh, this guy has to do something. Yeah, you can say anything you want to say. But I was born and raised in Liberia, and I traveled over 14 different countries in West Africa. West Africa is about 15 or to 16 countries. So I've been to 14 in all, residing over 8 different countries in West Africa. So I know how the politics is being played. Liberia war was completely different. All right. Yes, that does not mean you cannot prosecute somebody for crime. That does not mean, but it has to be done at local level and take those big hands out of it. Because when they come in, it will be difficult to have conviction based on international standard. For example, Mr. Taylor was now convicted because he was caught on crime. He was caught in a provision in 1951 convention called Geneva Accord that the command, those that are in charge of command, all has a command responsibility. In charge and command responsibility. In charge of command, Mr. Taylor, Mr. Bullis, Mr. Kuma, Mr. Johnson, and Mr. Johnson again. All right. Now, they was in charge of the command. Command responsibility, the various commander, the battalion commander, the field commander, they have command responsibility. The court elect, the international agreement said that these people had the power and the ability to direct the movement of their troops. Okay, so that means they can stop their troops from going to what is not feasible for them. For example, Liberian troops crossing into Sierra Leone, whether it was a rebel or true, Mr. Taylor has the power to stop it, but he refused it. So the command responsibility fell on him. Under that convention, it said the membership alone is not enough to indict an individual member for an alleged crime that was committed in the organization, unless the individual involvement is found in 3 categories. 1, he was directly responsible for the alleged crime. 2, he has command responsibility. 3, he was in charge of the command. So it will be in the absence of forensic science, direct evidence and physical evidence, and people are tribal motivated. So it's going to be difficult to carry on conventions in Liberia, because when the international group come, they have to adhere to international standard. This is what people don't know. So the convention may be very, very difficult in Liberia under those conventions, unless they change the convention.
Okay. All right. So hold on one second. Let me go to the next caller here, and then I'm going to get a reaction from my folks there online. 713 number 3953. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Go ahead, caller.
On this platform. This is Nan Kemon.
Okay, brother Kemon, what's up, my man?
I'm okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much for asking. I'm calling from Houston, Texas, the only federal chief in this part of America.
I hear you.
And I would like to say this platform is the only platform who come here to be educated, informed, and we don't involve into insult. We debate the issue objectively.
Thank you.
So I'd like to say thanks to the entire platform, Abave there, Mr. To, Mr. George, and you. Having said that, the topic of the discussion is very, very interesting. And it's something that we've been talking about in our homes, behind closed door, and today we are on the platform. When it comes to JFK issue, I was in Liberia. I visited JFK on numerous occasions, and I saw what happening there. I remember the last time I went there to get a certificate before enrolling at the University of Liberia, and I saw the condition there. When you enter JFK, you feel so bad about the way the way patients are treated. There's no bed, people on the floor, and whole other stuff. And that was on an early time. So we as young people at that time when I was there, we had problem with that. We started thinking of alternatives, and the alternative was in the CDC because the way they were advocating that when it comes, they would bring changes, and you know. And then fast forward, we some of our came in the US, and we started supporting them too. But to see that today, Ambassador Dato Kwebugbe, George Weah is president of Liberia, to see GFK in this kind of situation is disappointing, disheartening, and frustrating for some of us. And that is why we have constantly put out recommendations out there, but this government just tuned to our recommendations. One, if you want to improve GFK, like the president of Tanzania, the pay of this, he saw the medical condition, the hospital condition rather, and he made changes, you know. And then I believe he also came out and put out his vision for the health sector. When last have we listened to Mr. President, that your caller said, President Weah, coming out to give us information about how he look at his vision on the health sector in Liberia? We are not listening to our president. We are, you know, and we continue to go over this thing over and over. Now we're seeing health workers. They are protesting because they don't have benefit. And somebody said, this is the pandemic and the benefit will come afterwards. What do you mean by that? People are risking their life. They are serving people and they don't have benefit. They are not being paid on time. Are you telling me that people should protest before they get the benefit? Okay, some of those people are in the US here. You go to work. Have you gone to work one day and they told you that you're not getting your pay on time? No, they pay you on time. Have you protested for your benefit? No, you received them. So why would the health workers in Liberia protest before they get paid? And why would the government come out even to say, if you don't go to work, we'll fire you and replace you with another group of people? I think it's a disservice to the Republic of Liberia. And on the part of President Weah, like I said, I'm disappointed in that particular area. And another thing there is that spending money on the 14 military hospital where you have GFK, you have redemption, all the medical facilities stay down, no improvement. I think it's a waste of time, it's a waste of money. I expected the president to invest that money, whether it was millions or whatever $1,000 into the public health system like GFK, improve it, make it up to the level where when we go there or our family people go there, they can have peace of mind. You don't want to go to GFK worrying that, I'm going to the hospital, I think I'll come back because the rumors are here about the hospital. We don't want that kind of situation. So in this kind of situation, my recommendation, I don't know if they'll listen to me because many of the time they don't come on the platform. They don't come here, they always stay away. My recommendation anyway, if they hear me, is that stay with the people. It's always good to listen to people when you're having conversations like this. What can we do? How can we do it? Let the people be involved. Don't ostracize them. Don't threaten them. Because at the end of the day, they are all Liberians and they are all working in the interest of Liberia. So, President Weah, I want to believe that you're listening to the program because you love to hear from the Liberian people. Please, Mr. President, retract that particular press statement that came out from the Ministry of Information. Retract it immediately and say with the people. People are working. The health workers are working. That you get benefit. If you pay minister $7,000, if you have people distributing money on the streets of Monrovia to electric, come on, Mr. President. Okay. You don't think it's necessary that those people should get a benefit? And
okay.
Then my next point is to Mr. Prince Johnson or Senator Prince Johnson. Senator Prince Johnson enjoys the support of Niba County because, for me, I believe what he did to somebody can't do. That's all. There's nothing else somebody can tell me. So I can't trust Prince Johnson. He later, a whole other thing, man. Mr. Weah, they didn't do that. But he was the same person when Nima County and later they mentioned this is your son. So today, I don't trust Prince Johnson. I just don't trust him at all.
Okay.
You put him down to that thing in your face. I don't trust you, Mr. Johnson, because you're just a hypocrite.
Even they wake you from sleep, right?
I will tell him in your face. I say, Mr. Johnson, I don't trust you. You're just a hypocrite.
Okay.
You know,
okay. Let me go to Aliyu yet. Let me go to Aliyu. Mr. Aliyu.
Yeah.
Okay, you've been following us. Thank you to have you here. You once served as a mouthpiece of this government, and later on, conversion took place. Are those reasons still there for which you converted to say no, or maybe I was in the wrong direction, or are we just trying to bam off or What? But I think the talking point is quite fair. What's your contribution?
Well, first of all, I don't know the way you're treating my uncle this evening. I mean, you people are completely somehow politically decapitating my uncle. It's not fair.
Okay, so next time we'll bring you on live video, and I will put you right side. You will be side by side. Perhaps then you can hit one another shoulder. No, Mr. Toh is okay. He's expressing his view, his opinion. It doesn't represent the views of the government, neither anyone. Go ahead.
Yeah, we know. But let me just say it was miscalculated or somehow ignorant for the information ministry to even believe, or for President George Weah to believe that he has rights to fire civil servants. Let me just tell you, the laws in Liberia regarding civil servants is far different from laws in other countries. The president has more power on the people he appoints than he do with civil servants. There are specific laws regarding the hiring and the termination of civil servants. President Weah can fire those civil servants, and they can go to the Temple of Justice, and they will be reinstated. So that the president does not have as much power as he has to fire Eugene Nangbe. He can do with the civil servants. So that's morale. That's big mouth. It doesn't happen that way in Liberia unless the civil servants do not know their rights. It happened to the Minister of Gender. I have a female friend that currently works as one of their directors that were not named. But the CBC, immediately upon assuming they are thing to carry on right now, sent people to the gender ministry to replace some of the other civil servants that were there. Those people filed their case to the Bureau of Civil Service, and they won their case. As a result, they have two different groups at the gender ministry. You have the CDC employees at the gender ministry because George Weah refused to withdraw them. He kept them there and put them on payroll, while you have the original employees who were there before the CDCians. They're still there. So you have the CDC people they just go in the morning and sit down in front of the building or around the building and get paid at the end of the month, because the Civil Service Bureau would not allow those people to be terminated. So George Weah cannot just fire civil service or civil servants. Let us establish that. And you play a very, very crucial video, Alfonso, when you try to make some sort of a comparison and contraction here, or some sort of comparative analysis when you talk about the Tanzania president. Don't do that kind of thing, Alfonso. The Tanzania president is a leader. George Weah is not a leader. George Weah is leader small girls. George Weah is not a leader.
Yeah, man. Mr. Somebody, you the one talking so?
But it's glaring. The thing is glaring. Look at this man. The man is totally robot. A man with little or no idea about how administration functions, especially at the political level. This man assumes office and has no wisdom, has no common sense, has absolutely no vision. You can tell by his appointment, the way he appointed people. Look at his finance minister. Look at his finance minister. Look at his commerce minister. This guy has been in politics since 1978, and he has no achievement under his belt. You would have thought that a guy with limited academia or a limited political experience will assume office and bring the requisite people who will actually do the work for him. Now, there are very few astute and qualified people within this particular government. But what happened is George Weah attachés and the people that are closest to him are mostly the unqualified ones. And those are the ones he listens to. Samuel Swear have no fiscal policy, nothing he can actually bring. Even when he's addressing financial issues, it's all broad-based issues. There is no technical discussion. There are no facts. There are no numerical evidences to prove what he's saying. He's just threw talks all over the place and swing his arms. And I'm sitting going, what's up with these people? What's going on with these people? But a brother came on recently before the caller before me. That guy is very articulate. But he said something that I agree with and something that I do not agree with. If he is thinking that because the reason why Chancellor went to The Hague is only because there was a lot of contradiction in what he said. Because Chancellor did not take guns and cross the border to go to Sierra Leone. Chancellor was not a rebel commander in Sierra Leone. Because Chancellor participation is what landed him there. The reason why there's no Chancellor was not convicted of anything in Liberia is because there have been no charges against Chancellor. Okay, we know of several generals that took part both in ULIMO and NPFL that are right now languishing in jails overseas. That they didn't go anywhere. They committed these atrocities right in Liberia. So let's get that clear. Prince Johnson question about can you trust Prince Johnson? But if I let me ask you, can you trust Prince Johnson? You know, that question there. Even the 4-year-old child should never trust Prince Johnson. But my uncle, my big brother, what's his name? The engineer in there always called Nimba people clever people. You know, I hate to break this news. Nimba people are not clever people. Let's just be frank here. The Nimba people, if they were clever people, how can Ellen Johnson selling age from my family and other people use Nimba? If the Nimba people were very, very clever, how can John Charles, 35-year-old, went and use you and the Mana people in the matter to execute, to kill from Butu all the way to Morocco? Which clever people can just sit down there, somebody just can't kill go and just go kill. So I don't like to hear the Nimba people are very clever people, they're very smart people. I think the over-emphasize the smartness of Nimba people. But being troublemakers does not make you smart in any way. So, but the argument, the conversation today, I look at my uncle George. George has been winning this conversation.
You're trying to stir out, Aliyu, you're trying to stir out trouble now. Please don't call case here. We have not done yet.
Okay, I would not call any kid. The liberal, I think he knows the fact. I think he accepts the fact, but he's trying to play the devil's advocate. And that's the point that is making me laugh because he actually see the reality. You say the government is working. How is the government working? They say the government building roads. The roads of the government.
But you two, let's flip the coins around here. Time is you two articulated. You were very full. You had your own past cares. You debated issue. You came on this network. What happens in the interim?
Yeah, what happens is when you look at the bigger picture, whenever you do stuff, you look at the bigger picture. Aliyu Kamara is not a wealthy guy. But Aliyu Kamara is in a situation now where he would not have to beg for bread. So when Aliyu Kamara is doing something, he's advocating for the less fortunate, for the people who have not been opportune. It's just by chance that Aliyu Kamara is able to hold paycheck every week. But I come from a society where I live at 8 Singapore, 8 pound capital, 8 Gariyoko, 8 Farino, 8 Farino Governor. So I understand what they're facing. So if I should stay here and see things go wrong, deliberately go wrong, and I still insist that for the love of George Weah, I will continue to promote him over the people who are supposed to be the beneficiaries of the national coffers. And how will you call me, Alfonso? You call me a
So, is it fair to say you're then on the wrong side of history initially, but you are found your right footing?
I want to say wrong side of history. I do not regret supporting George here because we cannot open anybody's heart to know what's in it. We can only go by what we observe about the person.
Did you ask all of these questions? Do you had any apprehensions initially, or what?
No, but I grew up knowing him. I grew up knowing the boy from Invisible 11. I grew up knowing the boy.
Oh, you seems to be, I'm an Invisible 11 guy, so you seems to be, you are driven by the Invisible 11, the blue and white.
Well, not necessarily. Look at some of the actors. George Weah, even though he's a playboy, but George Weah always show, I don't know if it was hypocrisy or it was on the fourth question, we always show to care.
All right.
Okay? Where
so,
people and other people will not go, George Weah will go. Other people will not hug, George Weah will hug. You know,
All right.
those kind of personality, that kind of personality, you know,
Okay.
they're having what if he love you this much on the outside,
All
but
right.
if he control,
So,
he
okay,
might do
quickly
something
here,
much better.
as we talk and critique and I talk to our own government, we always hear time is fast spent. What would be a final recommendation before I join my guys who are going to be wrapping up here very shortly? So what would be the final recommendation? Oh, one of my mentors is calling here. My goodness. I just have to pick up this call here. But let me just pick up the call and then you can make your final recommendation. A veteran journalist for the State Broadcast Corporation, Mr. James Gomia, is on the line from New Jersey, from Mount Presidential Hopeful. But Ali, you go to your point, then I will go to Mr. Gomia.
Okay, the only thing I can say here, recommendation, I can say to the people of Liberia, because I cannot recommend anything to the government. It would be a waste of your breath. The issues to develop Liberia and to employ the youth of Liberia is very simple. All of the little common sense things. You know, introducing made in Liberia, manufacturing toothpaste, toothbrushes, bath soap, those things will hire people. You know, putting money in the agriculture industry, including the fishery industry, empowering the youth, training and capacity building in different areas, in technology and other places, vocational education.
Yeah.
Those things will
To
boom
say
the
that kind of
economy and it will not
recitation
cost-
is not easy. Okay, my man.
it will not cost a lot. Look, it will not cost anything compared to the president's office budget. The man had over $10 million in his everyday activity every year. That $10 million, if you can cut it down to $2 million and invest $8 million every year of what goes to his office to the Liberian people, I guarantee you, before the end of his first term, you will have at least a million Liberians youth employed.
All right,
If
my
you
man. Let's leave it here.
exercise
The
those
other
kind of
one will reach it tomorrow. Let me bring in Mr. Gomian and then
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you
All
so
right, then
much.
Kwame can make a closing remarks as well. Okay, Mr. Gomian, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. So. How are you today?
Good. How are you doing? How are things there?
Yeah, well, everything is good. We praise God.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank quite a little while we have not heard, but I'm quite sure something trickled this call here this evening.
Yes, actually, I wanted to basically respond to what Mr. Aliyu Kamara said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You know, in Liberia, we need to really know the history of the country before we say things. And he pointed out a few things about if Liverpool was so smart, why they supported Charles Taylor, why they did Ellen, why they did all of that. But I think Mr. Leo need to go back and read a little bit more and study why brought the problem in Liberia. It's not, and then he will probably understand, because I don't know how old he is or how young he is, but before we make statement, we need to really understand what going on in the country, or what has transpired in the country. I happen to be one of those that worked closely when I was at ELTV. I was actually assigned to the executive mansion. I covered President Doe. I knew President Doe personally. I sat with him many times. I was on his farm all the time. So I know President Doe. And I hope Mr. Kamara will understand what happened in 1984 when the attempted coup failed in Liberia. He needs to try to read a little more on that, and then he can come and say. Then the second thing I wanted to say is that many people talking about, the callers and the guests, they were talking about why, and you played a clip about Prince Johnson talking about George Weah. The little background I want to give on what happened, why Prince Johnson supported Weah. I know, Mr. So you may recall that all the political leaders met in Ganta before the elections.
Right. The
And
Solidarity
they all
Conference.
agreed. Bronsky, ALP leader, all these guys met in Ganta prior to the election. And they all agreed that whatever opposition party would come on top they were all going to support that opposition against the Unity Party.
Yeah, some sort of solidarity
That was
conference.
that was the MOU they signed in Ganta, and they all agree on that. So that's what Prince has said earlier about that. Prince was living the MOU that was signed between the politicians. That's the reason he gave when he endorsed Weir. So I don't know whether people didn't read it, or they don't want to read it, or they don't want to understand what he said at that time. Yeah, he castigated the man from the beginning. He said all of that, but the reason he gave was when they all went to Ganta and they signed that agreement, including Bronsky and all the other political leaders, they all signed that paper to support any opposition that comes on top. So it happens that CDC came on top. And then Bronsky and all the other people, instead of supporting CDC, they decided to go with Unity Party, which they have agreed in the beginning that they were going to fight against Unity Party. So that's where Prince's support for CDC comes from, because of that MOU that was signed. So we have to understand all these things. So then who, with Bronsky and Mr. Ure and other guys who were signatory to that MOU, why didn't they support CDC when CDC was the opposition that came out? Okay. And yet they made them to be angels now, and Prince Johnson is not, because he supported CDC. But Prince Johnson was going by the agreement that was signed. So I just wanted to point some of those things out.
Okay, all right. I think fair enough. Okay, Mr. Gomiant, we have to find time. I think there's a very crucial process in the making. We need to have people with the expertise for us to find solutions and have this sort of conversation. Thank you for calling in.
You're welcome.
All right. Okay, Pakwamint, in 1 minute, you want to make a closing remark before we wrap up?
Thank you very much. Thank you always for taking my call. I appreciate it. I hope you change our mind.
Your call always have a wisdom. The next thing now, we need to come live right here on this video vis-a-vis so that we see the wisdom behind the voice.
I got ugly face, so my face.
We're looking for good ideas. It's not a beauty pageant.
All right, you are waiting for me to do a surgery before I can come on. All right. Regarding the brothers, Brother Ali, anyway, I'm not going to respond to that very big will. I think he and I have misunderstanding of opinion that different from misunderstanding. Okay? Because what he said, that's why exactly I said that you can be convicted if you hold certain position. You don't have to be present. So that was the same thing. And that's why Mr. Taylor was convicted, because he was not there, but because he hold that command responsibility. So therefore, he have to go. What I can tell the Liberian to be vigilant, to be practical in their thinking. And I know that no one can raise above your own touch. Liberia has gone so long and been played for so long. They need to wake up. They need to take charge. Democracy is not about electing president. It's about participating in their own affairs. Liberia will not move forward by one single person or candidate. So all Liberians need to participate in their own affairs. They have to look at the bigger pictures. Not only the generation today, but the generation to come.
Right.
So we need to propel the countries and whatever resources that left to propel the coming generation so that Liberia can be among the committees of nations. From the beginning, Liberia was among the committees of nations. Liberia has a lot of contributions. Sit down in the seat of United Nations as founding member. Tokman was also a member of the Peace Committee in the Biafra War in Nigeria to restore peace in Biafra. Liberia went to Congo Zaire, Congo Brazzaville. Many of these conflicts were resolved in Liberia. And the OAU strategy was designed in Liberia, in my own country, Nima County. So the three presidents met there, the Ahmed Sekou Touré, the Kwame Nkrumah, Ofe Boye, and President Tokman. So, those glory history, we need to restore it back to its rightful places. But if we continue to confuse ourselves, confuse our mind, and become and continue to play a tribal politics rather than actual politics, and then we will continue to sink or plunge the features of the country into darkness. And this is what's happening now. Thank you so much.
All right, Pakwame, thank you so much for your contributions and expertise always. Always good to have you here. Okay, all right. Guys? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I know it's 9:51 here. Let me give you guys the chance to respond to the numerous concerns and some of the issues pointed out, and then we can wrap it up.
Let me just say, let me go back to the nurses issue. According to the Ministry of Information and that of the Ministry of Labor, they said the Decent Act, Work Act Sound, Section 1.5, exclude civil servant or government employee from unionized to become a union member. And until that act is repealed, the government will not allow anybody, government employee, to unionize. So that is the issue. That one of the issues that the workers are demanding. They say it was an act, the Decent Work Act excludes all government employees. They should not unionize, and the health workers are saying that they want that. So that one of the sticking point. Now, to the issue of the War and Economic Crime Code, what we are talking about, these people that participate in the war, locally they can be prosecuted because one, you have confession, their own words, what they did. And today you have commanders, other generals in jail, languaging in jail for what they did. So these people can come to testify against the leader. It's not, it's not no rocket science. We have a whole lot of documented evidence what these people did. So the issue is just the willpower that because Ellen Johnson a role she played, so she didn't want to go down that route. And we are told the people, oh yes, I will come in your own word. Anybody that share Liberian blood will not go free. But again, it was just a mere fallacy to play on the electric mind, on the people's minds. After he got letter, he had already said, hey, I know because of a war crime code, I do not request for it. So why you want to bother me? This is why Prince Johnson then are taking the advantage of to support him, because they see that he's not going right now, he's going left. And going left is to the base of Prince Johnson. And so that one of the reasons Prince Johnson support this guy, because they know that person we are now is not someone who is in favor of war and economic crime code in Liberia. So despite with that, Prince Johnson got to go behind where I think if you remember one time, when one argument was getting heated, that the president was requesting, trying to say that lean towards war crime code, Prince Johnson was very furious about it. And later on, the president toned it down. And that way, he saw Prince Johnson in a corner. So there's a reason that Prince Johnson is always on the side of CDC. Not because that name occurred, that they didn't occur, that happy name that other political baffle, so Prince Johnson want to lay order. No, it's something bigger than that. You see George Weah as a protector. Okay, and the only way George Weah can continue to protect him is by saying, hey, look, if you protect me, I can convince my people to vote for you. So the next election coming, Prince Johnson will stay right in the corner of CDC. Because I'm one of those who strongly advocating for war and economic crime code in Liberia. And any incoming government must make sure they have to commit. And we have pushed Mr. Comey. Mr. Comey has admitted that he now enforce war and economic crime code in Liberia. But first, he was revolving. But we pushed that now he has committed himself to it. So
you seem to be pushing him. Does that mean do you think that commitment will hold?
It will hold. It will hold.
All right. Thank you so much.
Because yes, Mr. Two, anybody now, what a company's work out with you, whoever become president of Liberia, that issue it's one of the burning issues that the government will have to take. And if you don't take, you will continue to have the headache that person we are is having about the war and economic crime in Liberia. So it's not just for person we are. Any incoming government will continue to push the line forward. Because if we don't do so, other people will go to do the same thing, but they say the other people did it, nothing came out of it. Impunity cannot be the order of the day in Liberia.
Okay. All right. Let me go to the Mr. Toh.
Yes. Thank you. I also want to thank you for this wonderful show tonight. As a liberal progressive, I was struggling tonight, to be honest with you.
Wow, you never
not
have you met
hearing to no conservative. I do not have to
give me a big hand clap for a meeting.
Well, Mr. Soul,
hold on. Is there any way that we can ship a bottle of whiskey to him?
Probably, I think I can cash out him something to get a cold drink this thing, so that he can get a better drink. Maybe
you conservatives are now celebrating the liberal progressive struggling here tonight, but that's okay. I will redeem myself. I'm going to get both of you again.
Where?
What? Excuse me?
Where that redemption will come from?
Very soon. You're going to organize another show, and I'm sure both of you are buddies. You're going to come out here thinking you have done it before. You're going to do it again, which will be a big mistake at the time. But let me just say this, Mr. So, on a very serious note. These kinds of situation, and especially when it comes to government, who has a pro-poor agenda, and have truly abandoned the pro-poor agenda, they no longer talk about it. So it's difficult sometimes to even point something to say, yes, this is what the government is doing. As I stated here, the government, the expectation that people have for the government has not been met. And in fact, they have not even, they don't even attempt to try to say, this is what we're doing. And it's difficult. It's very difficult. However, the point here also I want us to understand is that this government is functioning. And so when it comes to the area of how do you call it, JFK Hospital, and I know the situation needs to be improved, but let us give these people latitude. I don't want to use the ugly word, latitude. In other words, there are other language you can use in terms of latitude. Our country people say, give the people long rope, you know what I mean. But I'm not even going to go that far. But let's give these people a chance to see if they can help to redeem themselves. Now, as far as the issue with Prince Johnson is concerned, Prince Johnson, if he thinks he's going to have his right like this year, he's mistaken, because Nimadi, just one county, will now go against the will of the entire population. Sooner or later, once some government comes to power and the pressure is coming from the other section of the country that they want war crime court in Liberia, it will happen. And once it comes about, Prince Johnson was going to have to defend himself. Now, I might even say this, that there is a possibility that Prince Johnson's defense might be accepted by many Liberians. Take, for example, Prince Johnson, did he get up one morning and say, now I'm going to go and overthrow the government or try to bring revolution in Liberia? No, this thing didn't happen overnight. Now, if Prince Johnson can come out and explain to the people and try to reconcile his involvement and be contrite or whatever it is that he was involved in, I think many Liberians will try to say, okay, let's see, this man have admitted he also have done certain things. And don't forget now, Prince Johnson is doing things in Nima County that Nimanians love, and Nimanians are Liberians. So you're going to have to, as a Liberian also, going to have to justify in prosecuting this man, or are you ready to put your arms around every Liberian and say, let's come together and forget the past? Which way do we go? Do we go to the point of when these people come to say and testify publicly, admit they're wrong? Do you still want these people to be sent to the hill? Or do you now say, well, now that you have made your wrongdoing and doing against the Liberian people themselves, they have the means, they have the will to forgive, and then we will move on. But Mr. So, other than that, like I said, I'm on a flat footer here tonight, and it is bad. And let me just admit this on a very serious note. And this is a life example to the young people that are listening. Everything you do, it doesn't matter why. You don't try to take advantage of stuff. This afternoon, Mr. So sent us a document that we were supposed to read, and that those are the kinds of things we were going to be discussing. Well, I took it for granted that the fact that I'm a liberal progressive and I can talk my way out of anything, I didn't even pay attention, made an attempt to read it, to say anything. So quite pointedly, from I wasn't prepared. And so Mr. George ate my lunch this evening. But I can tell you this, as a liberal progressive, this is not going to be the last. Listen to the liberal progressive. I will be back. And these two conservatives that you see here will no longer be drinking, sipping water on my grief. They're not going to do it the next time. I promise you that. I didn't do a good job, and these two conservatives were drinking water, sipping water, knowing full well that the liberal progressive was struggling, and they decided to celebrate. I promise you, the next time, these two gentlemen that you see will be on the bike side of themselves, because the progressive going to walk all over them.
Mr.
On a very serious note, I took this for granted. I didn't prepare myself, and so Mr. Josh ate my lunch this afternoon. Thank you, Mr. So. Let's do it again.
Okay, hold on one second. You know, the guy sounded like, you remember when Charles Taylor was departing? By God's willing, I will be back. The red cow, the white cow, and the brown cow.
Yeah.
Let me go to the Kumis here quickly, then we'll be wrapping up. Kumis, are you there?
Hello.
Yeah. Are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Okay, go ahead quickly, buddy.
Oh, I didn't know that the program was coming to. I mean, you guys are at the end of the program.
Yeah, man. But there's no way that I can know your call. I said, but go ahead. That's okay.
And there's something in the TRC document that has to do with the tips that Pa George made reference to. Those tips cannot be used in a court, in any court, as an evidence, because it's in that document. It's in the TRC document. So what he made me, I was trying to pull out that identical section so I can quote word for word what is enshrined in the document. However, it's going to depend on the lawyers. Now, you see, the guys are playing some smart games. It's so sad that, you know, Professor Proman, he's not feeling well now, but in one of his arguments, they all been pushing the line that when the House of Representatives and the Senate or the legislators will push for a bill calling for the establishment of war crime courts in our country, they will then go find their way and run to the Supreme Court. Those are things that some of the alleged perpetrators are praying to happen, praying for it to happen. That's why Saboli, the Prince Johnson, all of these guys have been making a lot of sharp mouth because they know when they go to the Supreme Court, the process will take a long time. Here's another thing, though. The late Tom Wowo, and which of course I have all his testimony because I didn't. We planned to do an exclusive, but we couldn't do the exclusive, so the testimonies were sent to me. You know, Mr. Soul, it is incumbent upon all of us Liberians to fight for justice. But when you have a few selected group of people sitting on the other side fighting that the issue of justice will not be at an equilibrium, will just be like, oh, this man was my kinsman, he defended me, and the other person was from my constituency, or this person is my partisan. If we look at things from those perspectives, we'll not go anywhere. That's why you see up to today's day, since the document went before the legislature, 2009, they told us they were going for agriculture break. 99% of them who said they were going to meet their constituents or their constituency to discuss the TROC recommendation. That was admitted. They never had a town hall meeting, neither a press conference. One of the big revelations there is that the now Assistant Minister for Ministry of State, former Representative Wisa Blamo, was the chairperson on Truth and Reconciliation at the House of Representatives. The day Council the Prayer Brown Bull came to me to break the story that there was a serious commotion between the commissioners. On that same day, I conducted an interview with former Representative Blamo. We said now, Bishop Blamo, we said, resign. Why he resigned? He never said it on during that interview. So our people love to play games with us, and they are playing serious games.
All right. Okay, so we're going to cut the evening here this evening. Mr. Cummings, veteran journalist, thank you for your input and your expertise, because you have really followed in depth of the TROC and reports and been following that story. So good to have you here. Thank you so much for chipping in here this evening.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, so guys, is there any final statement from you guys? Or that's it?
Well, I just let me just go. I just want to make it a brief. I want to thank all of the audience for their full participation here tonight. I really appreciate because these kinds of forum are intellectual forum where when we come out here, we expect to be truthful. And whatever that I say here tonight, I'm being very truthful. But I really appreciate the audience challenging me, and that's good. That's good. And that's to let me know that it's not all. It's everything that comes out of your mouth. You don't know all. You have to expect those kinds of stuff. So I do expect it, and I appreciate you guys challenging me. Please, let's continue to challenge each other. At the end of the day, though, what is the solution that we have for our country? That is the question that I'm leaving with you guys. And one last thing, tomorrow, I'm going to start with the campaign. Campaign season has started. The Wolonyano platform going to be letting out tomorrow, and we will be on.
Your campaign?
Yes.
Well,
after this massive defeat, will you have that? You get it.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Come on, man. Come on.
Now,
oh, Jesus Christ.
Need to find a 1,000 milligram, 500,000 milligram of ibuprofen or Tylenol, so you get a rest. And you're talking about you're going to campaign? What will you be saying?
Tune in tomorrow, Mr. So. Being defeated by two conservatives does not change me at all. At all.
Look, Mr. Tool, you did your best. But you know, it's like when you got a bad football team and you got a goalkeeper that will beat him all day.
Josh, even helping the situation here tonight. He has added another.
Yeah, you got a good goalkeeper, but the team bad, the goalkeeper will suffer. He a football player, he know that. So the government to defend them is sometimes it just hard, because every time you try, it's just not working. But you know, on this, Mr. Sue, I would like to tell you to continue your invitation to Mr. Monpaka Demois.
I knew we were going to go
because
it wasn't going to be party.
This guy can't let Monpaka. I really.
No, I want you to come on, and I hope he can come on Sunday night so I can be on the panel. So let's debate this issue about Bonkane and Charles Taylor.
Wow.
But look, you know, I just read the point. I don't even want to hide my head because Monpaka Dema will not even win the election. That one can tell anybody in Bonkane.
George, yeah, it's a funny thing. And that's why some of these politicians, sometimes they make people to talk to them in a kind of way. That's another irresponsible attitude. You and somebody talk, agree, set on time, appointment flyer went out, and you, out of a courtesy, we know things happen, emergency, right? And he did not even have the guts to say, oh, because of X, Y reason, can we reschedule? Fair enough. I sent him message. Oh, that's not the first time, that's not the second time. So the guy is not, he's not on Capitol Hill yet. He's behaving like that. So when he gets there, I believe he will say Bon County unknown to you.
But this is kind of irresponsible attitude. Irresponsible attitude.
Remember the guy who tweeted the AK-47?
Yeah, irresponsible attitude. Somebody call you, you set a time. If you can't make it, just pick up the phone and say, hey, text the person, hey, it's not possible. Postpone it. But you don't call. You don't show up. And that's the kind of man want to be a leader.
He's going. So how you guys, for those of you who have been the voice of the opposition, I hate for us to eradicate this thing and go back into the interview here as well. I mean, the conversation as we're running. Oh, yeah. He confirmed with me. I get his text message here because I asked him purposely what is his political affiliations, which political party he's affiliating with. And he told me he's going as an independent. This is the guy who is a co-chair for the COP, and he's going as the independent. So where is the collaboration? Where is the union these people are forming, Pa George?
No, here's the thing here. He knew that he was not going to be accepted. I think the Liberty Party or whatever, or I think the Liberty United Party, he was not going to be accepted on the ticket. And how they got rose to permanent? It was through that AK-47 statement.
That controversial thing. Yeah, it's so funny because that's what I was so persuaded to come here to give.
He didn't begin a hustle in Monrovia and like, bro. The next thing he jump on, he going to Bon County to run as senator. I remember I follow him when the guy asked him.
When you look at the history of the culture of Liberia, if you want to get into a higher up there, do some sort of bizarre thing, just act crazy. And cameras and microphones and media will come before you and right there and let police come and intervene. And the next thing, the worker, they won't be represented, they won't be a Fonsoto.
Yeah. So the next thing he saw, he running up the Bon County to go defend. Then they asked him, he said, if the party don't lie and the COP don't lie, then he'll go as an independent candidate.
And that's what he confirmed, according to what I have.
You can see these people are power driven, greed for power. And this is what happened. And look at the exception he made coming up straight out of the box. Using Charles Taylor as a means to get to power. Because Joel Howard, he ran a campaign for Joel Howard Taylor, and they all ran out seeing a platform of Charles Taylor. She been a weapon of Mr. Taylor. So that's the same thing that he coming back with, saying Joel Howard won because the people of Bon County love Charles Taylor. So therefore he's going to run now with Charles Taylor putting the picture all in the background. But yeah,
okay. No, man, let's be here for the rest of the evening. We're going to wrap up tomorrow. The Liberal Progressives, Samson Branto from California. I want to thank you so much. Of course, all LPR Freedom Watch continue. Please try and get some Tylenol or ibuprofen, or if you don't have some, I can express it. You need a rest because you really got a good whip here tonight. Not from me, from your own patron. Your friend, your own, like you guys are within the same proximity, much closer to you than I. Pa George.
Yeah.
What you want to say to this guy before he goes?
Oh no, hey, I'm a co-host to Mr. Toe.
You didn't act like a co-host here today. I don't think something Toe gonna bring you on that program.
Mr. Toe, don't let Mr. Soul divide us. This man, when they join you, they tell your hair, put in other man's hair. They say, "Oh, go take your hair down. What he doing here not tonight?" You see that? Mr. Toe, myself, I'm a co-host of Mr. Toe, so I mean, we just had a civil conversation. So hey, I'll be back.
All right, I'll come and play one nice crown song to take you to Toe Town or Grand Jide County, where they say we should make friends, we shouldn't divide.
Abibloa, Abibloa. Ula ajibe, aju, ba oblea ula ajibe. Na da mo plebe ajibe bli, pon bli jibe we mo pobloa. Na dola wa sabola ajibe, abe jibe asachi eje ayine aba abayiwe. I want to welcome President Gus Meyer from Philadelphia. Thank you for joining us this late evening. What does Minister Bibi Wright Boateng is currently in the West African state of Ghana. She's going to be right here with me tomorrow. So this is a very beautiful piece. Let's listen to it a little bit.
Adeyo, Toya ni Emuo. Adeyo, Adeyo, Toya Adeyo, Toya ni Emuo. Adeyo, Adeyo, Toya Adeyo, Toya ni Emuo. Adeyo, Adeyo, Your son
Let me just interpret that for you in Grant, because something to won't do it. So you see how nice I am? We should love our friends no matter where we come from, whether you're from Nimba County, you're from Town, or you're from Bond County, who must be friends, who must be family. Right, Pa George? Thank you so much, the Liberal Progressive. Thank you. Have a pleasant night. That's how I'm going to let you guys go this evening. That's how we're going to leave it this evening. I'm Alfonso Z and so of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. Join me tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be having a fascinating discussions. And guess what? On Monday evening, the Senator of Granger County, Senator Alfonso Gay, will be my guest. We are hearing, will he be taking a decision? This and many more. Don't miss it. At 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Alfonso Gay going to be here. Well, folks, that's how we're going to put a curtain down here this evening. That's Liberia Public Radio. Always showcase the qualities and beauties of Liberia to get in the image of the country. Over to Madam Henry, I'm seeing something here. This is quite fascinating. Meaning, Imbele means something that will happen. And it's happening now. So do not blame Mr. George, but his parents for his name. Oh, wow, that's interesting. I think it's good that I get to know this name here. Hopefully, he still answers our call and you're going to be here. We are doing everything possible to have a conversation here. We also have an appointment with the Public Affairs Director of the National Elections Commission. We like to go where the news is to give them the opportunity to hear it directly from themselves as well and to get a comprehensive insight. The apprehensions out there about what are the process going to be free and fair, how they are conducting it. We don't want to adjudicate people now, but hopefully in a conversation today with Mr. Tahirin Fomo, who is the Public Affairs Director at the National Elections Commission, has meanwhile agreed to appear on the Liberia Public Radio. We'll keep you posted when that happens so that we can have an in-depth conversation. The status of the voter roll, they were mandated in 2017 by the higher court of the land, that's the Supreme Court, and we are hearing allegedly trucking voters, all of these legitimate concern, but I think we must give them the opportunity to get their versions of the story. Well, folks, time check here is 10:27 Eastern Standard Time. I want to thank you so much. Kadi, welcome. What you heard at you disengage social media for quite a long while. Hopefully you are here to stay. Thank you for popping in here this evening again, Madam Herring. Thank you so much. You always contributing here. Hopefully, we're going to tap into your expertise as long as you are willing to come here. This is LPR. This is a network for all Liberians, regardless of your political affiliation, except that we try to ask some legitimate and tough questions. As long as you are available to answer these questions, to have that conversation with civility, we are always here. President Gus Mayet, the former national president of the Grand Unit Association, there in P8. Mr. President, thank you for popping in. It's better late than never. Hopefully, you're going to join us here on Monday evening because we're going to be having the outgoing Senator Alfonso Gay. We're going to be asking for some tough questions as he returned to his native homeland of Izwedu, and what next after his time on Capitol Hill 9 years. Why is he not seeking to re-election? What can we remember him? What his take on the 2020 senatorial race in Grand Unit, where he gives support? That's the $1 million question. And Gay promised me I'm going to be hearing from him directly live right here on the Diaspora Informative Proportionate Network, Liberia Public Radio. Thank you so much, guys, and have a pleasant evening. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
A life so beautifully lived deserves to be beautifully remembered. This is to announce the traditional wake-keeping and funeral service of the late Chief Crazy Sarto, former General Town Chief of Crazon Clan and Chief Elder of Crazon Chiefdom of the Bison Statutory District, Grand Gade County, Republic of Liberia, who died on January 27, 2020 at his daughter resident in Thinker Village, surrounded by his children and grandchildren. The body of the late Chief Crazy Sarto will be removed on December 15, 2020 at the Samuel Stryker Funeral Home in Sincor and will be taken to his daughter home in Thinkers Village for a night of wake-keeping. The body will then be taken to Duaji Town, Grand Gade County for 3 days of traditional wake-keeping. Funeral service will be on Saturday, December 19, 2020 at the Assembly of God Church in Duaji Town. The remains will be laid to rest at the family cemetery in Duaji Town. Repast follow at the family compound in Duaji Town. The traditional aspect of the late Chief Crazy Sarto life celebration will be the Kron artists performing lives making their present felt will be the Watsiato of Claude Romy and Blade Mary, Poemile Group of the Ivory Coast, Sumu Club of the Ivory Coast, Kron International Artists Play Franco, Jefferson DK Nyangbe, Eric Duo, Chablo and Tour, Juice Sandy, Saba J, Festus D. Carr, Sea Levels and the gospel artist Ezekiel Wright. This announcement was signed by Nathaniel Crazy, son of the deceased. You've worked for months to bring your or your client's event to life, but unfortunately, the world had another plan. In reality, the only thing you lost is the venue. We take your vision for hosting a virtual conference and bring it to life online. No matter how complex your agenda is, we produce a smooth, engaging experience. Call the Liberia Public Radio today and schedule your event. Our number is 682-433-8802. If you prefer to submit your request via email, please send the request to liberiapublicradio2012@gmail.com. Our staff are standing by waiting for your phone call.
Okay, well, that's how we're going to leave it this evening here. Let's give our closing song, and we're going to be out of here.
Hallelujah. Give him the hallelujah. Give him the highest praise. Hallelujah. Give him the highest praise. Hallelujah. Give him the highest praise. In the morning when I wake up, in the night when I wake up, I will lift up my voice to heaven and give you the highest praise. Hallelujah to my King. Hallelujah to my Father. Hallelujah to my Jesus. I bow before the throne. When I look at all the wonder and I see all the creation, the beauty of the universe, you never, never change. You never, never lie. You never, never change. You never, never change. Hallelujah to my Jesus. Hallelujah. 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 Hey. Hey. Hallelujah. Hey. Give him hallelujah. Hey. Give him the highest praise. Hallelujah.